second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire. Lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The esports Oval League with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire. Lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and
ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Flatout Racing Network's continued coverage of the 2025 season for the ESports Oval League's Grind Cup Series. 3 races remain here in the regular season until we put together the playoff grid, and this afternoon we're at the mile and a third concrete-based speedway in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm Seth Cole, alongside of Scott Rankin, who's on the injured reserve list here tonight, but still able to join us up in the broadcast booth. And one of the big things you talked about here tonight, Scott, before we came on the air was more so race the racetrack than everything, because it is slick out there.
One of the big things when you come to these concrete racetracks is that grip levels are extremely low, Seth. We know that. That's just an ongoing feature. It's why we like having a couple of them on the schedule. To be perfectly honest, if every racetrack was asphalt, we get boring of it. You can only do so much with it. But Nashville's unique layout, the amount of banking on it, where the bumps are as well in both ends of the racetrack, lower grip surface. Traditionally, it's been a tight race car when we come here. You've been a lot of grip in the rear, a lot of issues trying to get the front to bite and rotate off the front. That's not the case here tonight. You're probably going to see a lot of single car incidents from just mistakes. And that'll be an ongoing feature that we'll see right the way throughout the race.
How much track position going to be important here at this one? Because a lot of times when we come to a track like Nashville Superspeedway, I hear about the term aero blocking, and with drivers already going to be having to deal with the loose sensation, trying to get that rear grip with the track surface, they're also going to probably have to deal in traffic with that tight sensation being in somebody's dirty air.
I mean, that could actually make the cars drive a little bit better. It could take some transition away from those rear tires, but a little bit more low in the front tires. That might make you a little bit more of a balanced race car. The biggest benefit, though, is that when we talk about having a loose race car means you can pass. You can move around the racetrack. When you've got a tight race car, you're sort of generally locked into one groove. That's sort of the way to think about it. So, honestly, dirty air will always be a factor. I think we heard a lot of talking about it from a real world race across the weekend from Dover as well, and talk about how the cars could get near each other and the effects that dirty air were having. That's just going to be an ongoing thing. That's NASCAR, and that's car racing in general, because it happens across every platform. So yeah, dirty air will be a thing. It remains to be seen how much of a thing it will be, because the looser the car, generally the less dirty air affects it. There might be a lot of, if you can get close to a guy and put some air on his rear end, you might just fence him without contact tonight, which is actually a real big thing.
Tonight's going to be the last of our themed races as well, here in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee. Of course, very well known for its music, so appropriately it is Music Theme Night, and a number of drivers out here sporting a number of different artists and bands from different genres. We'll be sure to highlight them during the course of this evening's festivities. Of course, a number of drivers here, as we mentioned, with only a handful of races in the regular season, have either locked their way in on wins, or a number of them pretty comfortably in on points. We'll be keeping track of that cut line area, though, in these final 3 races of the season. And what an interesting trio of racetracks we've got. We've got Nashville here tonight, Road America next week, and then the wild card track of Daytona. 3 very difficult racetracks, but in terms of a traditional speedway, this is the last one until we get the postseason put together. It's a difficult one, though, that the drivers are going to have to deal with, those that are kind of maybe circling speedway as their opportunity to either point or win their way into a postseason berth.
Yeah, look, that's a big thing, I think, moving forwards. One of the interesting things was that I was trying to weasel my way into a playoff spot. Technically, my season's done, even with the win. I am 1 race short, Seth, so you won't be seeing me eligible for playoffs. And unfortunately, that comes from just having one of those weeks where I had to go away on holidays and missing out. So there's 2 guys that are in that boat. And I'm just trying to get the points up, because I actually did a fairly hefty breakdown of this last week, and I sort of remember it moving from here. The critical factor is the 2 guys that are inside of the top 16 in points that are going to miss out in playoffs are myself, with 15 starts. There are 3 races left. I can only get to 18 finishes. You will need 19 to be playoff eligible. So anyone who's already ticked that box for 19 is critical. They're already in. The other driver who can make it is Mark Gonzalez, but he has to be here or request provisionals for the final 3 races. Those are the big keys for him. If he's done that, he's good to go. The other drivers that are close are Brandon Cooper, who's on 17 starts. He needs 2 more starts, then he's locked in. Of course, he has that win. Critically, Tom Bourne is eligible, but because the criticality was looking at Tom Bourne is that he won the additional playoff spot. There are no rules surrounding that spot. You won that race, you won that spot. It's yours regardless of how many starts. So if that was somebody's first start in the season, sweet, they got their way in. Tanner Ma will also miss out based upon his wins. He will not be eligible. He needs 8 races to qualify. There are 3 races left on the season. So then we start to get things that firm up. So I drop out. So that means that we're looking at 17th spot. Your top 17 in terms of points are potentially eligible. Is there anyone outside with wins? Christopher Reese is the one driver outside of that with a win. However, he needs to start all 3 of the remaining races. I did see a quick look at the provisionals, and I have a feeling that Reese might have been taking a provisional. If he is not taking provisional, he's actually not eligible for playoffs. So Chris Reese will actually, even though he has a win, will not make playoffs after missing tonight's race. He just will not have enough starts, which means that you're looking at Facinato, I think, back to Chris Roberge, is in terms of your points. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the statistics. Chris Hubka's also not here tonight. I don't know if he's taken a provisional. So he is... Effectively, we've got to look back to Rylan Facinato, who's the first driver looking on the outside looking in, and he is a good 18 points back from Chris Roberge at the moment. So he's got to have a great night here tonight for the rest of the season.
That is a lot to keep track of here down the home stretch. You mentioned Mark Gonzalez. He is in the field here tonight. Brandon Cooper as well, who I believe was at the top of the board in practice, and good qualifying effort in third in tonight's starting lineup is Alan Dobbs. Going to be the one to lead us to green, his 6th pole on the season. And Dalton McKenney, I believe this is his first front row start of the season. Going to share that front row with him. So the Metallica number 35 sponsored Toyota Camry will be the one to lead us to the green here tonight. 200 laps this evening at Nashville Super Speedway. 22 drivers, make that 21 drivers going to take the green flag here this evening. 3 races left until we officially put that playoff grid together, and we're racing here at Nashville.
Get the power down. The big thing will be, where does everyone look in these opening couple laps? Have a look at Dobbs, swung high, wanted to use all the way around the corner. They were all struggling. Dalton McKenney got loose in the middle of 1 and 2. Big run on the bottom for Matthew Rodriguez. Off the bottom. He's done well to pick up a couple spots. And first caution, incident at the back.
It's going to involve, looks like, Mark Gonzalez. We were just talking about him. Also going to involve the 71 of Brock Whitehead. One of our music-themed race cars here tonight. Young Boy NBA, the sponsorship on that machine. Go back, take a look and see what happened here to those 2 drivers. Started back, I believe they shared the 8th row together. And looks like it maybe just comes out from underneath Mark Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it looked like. Quite loose down there on the bottom. Might have touched the paint on the apron.
Clifford Corbeau. It's the car in the middle there. Goes up and tank slaps the outside wall with the right front of his Chevrolet as well. So 3-car incident towards the rear of the field, bringing out this early yellow. Looks like a couple of drivers diving onto pit road there. I just saw, I believe that was the... It was the 15 might have made the dive onto pit road there. Yeah, Jeffrey Kleinsma.
So, Carl Wellman, Mark Gonzalez, Brock Whitehead, Clifford Corvo, Chris Roberge, I have all... You're right. Yep, Jeff Kleinsman's in as well. He said he's come down for fuel only. Oop.
So I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe our stages here tonight are 50 and then 100, giving us 100 laps to the finish. And big thing that we've been talking about here during the course of the regular season is drivers getting these stage victories and racking up playoff points towards when the standings get reformatted at the conclusion of Daytona in preparation for Chicagoland.
Yeah, so that'll be quite critical, is moving to the postseason, making sure that you have the points, because it's a buffer, right? Everyone's going to get reset. There's obviously going to be points for where you finished in the championship as well, but making sure that that you get your head down, score some bonus points is quite critical. Dobbs has just been so supreme. The biggest issue, I think, is Alan Dobbs is quite close to just locking himself straight in round 2 of the playoffs already. He's just going to have a massive advantage on the rest of the field. Basically, he's going to have disastrous races, a couple of races back to back.
To your point, he's racked up 235 stage points here, along with 13 stage victories. Which right there, that is 13 playoff points that he would carry into that first round. And has gone to victory lane a total of 7 times as well. And race victories also pay out playoff points. As to his outside here on the front row is going to be the number 54, Brandon Cooper. You talked about him needing to make 2 out of the 3 starts here for the remainder of this regular season, making one of them here in the Tame Impala Toyota Camry. I'll be honest, there's a few of the race cars, their sponsorship, artists and bands that I recognize. There are a few that I don't, and Tame Impala is one of those.
Another restart here south as well.
Looks like everybody involved in the incident continues on. Back under green, Alan Dobbs will lead us into turn 1. Looks like actually 20 drivers took the green flag here in this one, and all 20 still right on the lead lap as Rodriguez gets really loose there in front of Brandon Cooper. Not sure if he got the wall off of 2, but got pretty darn close.
Yeah, so that's the big issue, isn't it? Trying to slow yourself into that long run. Particularly, we've not really got any heat in the tires yet, and it's supposed to get looser as the night goes on. I did see early on that Mechanic was having some issues on the initial start with trying to carry the appropriate amount of speed. So Rodriguez lost 2 spots. He's already picked off one of those back. You can just see that. I'm just watching there's a lot of yaw in the cars as they rotate up and off the corner.
Noah Jackson up into the third,
another one.
And yep, caution's out. Mark Gonzalez has had another issue, this time going into turn 3. Second caution of the night, second incident involving the 2-time winner on the season.
Something's wrong for him. That's an overcorrect from Gonzalez.
This actually happened off the exit of turn 2 and then continued its way all the way through. Oh, looks like he just got a big run up there onto Brock Whitehead. Maybe too big of a run, and when he turned low, back into the race car, did not plant.
Yeah. Unfortunate for him. He just overcorrect.
This is riding on board with the Budweiser Chevrolet. Watch the closing rate between him and the 71 as they exit here off of turn 2. You can hear him throttle up, but rear tires said no in terms of giving him the grip he needed to be able to stay to the inside of Brock Whitehead, and second loop around for Mark Gonzalez.
He just got so I'm just reading up because I'm adminning here tonight as well. So I believe you're allowed 1 self-spin, and then the second self-spin is an EOL, but Gonzalez is already going to be at the end of the line anyway, so.
So under our second caution, let's showcase another of our music-themed race machines here tonight. A little country represented on our third place driver, Noah Jackson, Luke Combs. if I'm not mistaken, believe, let me just double check what the title of the song is there. It's Ain't No Love in Oklahoma. I was going to say Ain't No Rain in Oklahoma, and I knew that wasn't correct. Ain't No Love in Oklahoma, which was featured on the score of the movie Twisters. Great movie. And right behind him, you've got Matthew Rodriguez, who had that moment over in 1 and 2. Did a great job of saving it. Still up inside the top 5. The Good Charlotte sponsorship on his Toyota here tonight. So we're getting stacked up here, double wide, getting ready to go back green. 6th position, where you find Morgan Wallen, featured on Trey Whitehead's number 23. So a couple of country cars up here inside of the top 6 with the 20 and the 23. And we'll take a look at some of the other drivers in the field as well in just a moment, as drivers now make their way down the back straightaway, getting ready to go back green. 2 cautions so far here tonight. Drivers dealing with the slippy slidiness of Nashville Superspeedway. Lap 10 is when we will get back underway with Alan Dobbs leading us back into the restart zone.
Yeah, so here we go. Head down. We just need a good green flag run at this point in time. Get everyone spread out. And I think it'd actually be good. The big thing I'm watching is that there's not all those big checkups in the middle of the pack either. You know, the cars are actually able to sort of get themselves comfortable and sorted.
Wow, great launch for Dobbs. Brandon Cooper caught flat-footed. As Jackson will clear him for 2nd. Here comes Dalton McKenney for 3rd.
Oh, I just watched Matt Davies get it all the way to the bottom, then nearly drift up and get into Rodriguez. Rodriguez is looking for a little bit of a wrap off the top. And that 54 machine's doing quite well as well. Brandon Cooper moves to the top.
Trying to get that spot back off the restart is Cooper.
Yeah. Now do we get the head down?
Dalton McKenney up the racetrack a bit there. Looked like he wanted to run the same line as Cooper in front of him. Drifted up on the entry to the corner. Rodriguez was not able to capitalize. They'll remain single file amongst the top 5. Make it 6, 7. Battle is now going to be for the 8th spot. Rylan Faccianato looking to the inside of the 23 of Trey Whitehead. You mentioned Rylan Faccianato when going down that whole scenario of drivers trying to get into the playoffs in the conversation, but just needs to keep the consistency up.
And the big thing for Faccianato is that he started out at 12th spot and he's already up 4 places. So he's already making ground. He's actually off on this lap to Trey Whitehead as Whitehead's going to start moving forwards. But the big thing is keep thinking big picture, keep big picture racing. But at the same time, he's got to have a great finish here. And remember, the drivers that he's trying to track down just ahead of him in terms of the point scenario, Chris Roberge. But the big thing for Roberge is that he has to make every race to the end of the season here. He's running at the back. There is a big opportunity. If he picks up stage points, there's every opportunity he might do well. Look at the looseness of these cars up the front, though. Noah Jackson got loose that time. I think he actually had a whole bunch of air. Remember how we were talking about getting air on the spoiler? I think that's what just happened.
He's got him stacked up behind him.
McKenney's loose on the bottom.
Ooh, yeah, you could definitely see that there. Back end coming around the 46. Nice save, but momentum lost. Loses touch with Matthew Rodriguez, who he was battling for the 4th position, and Jonathan Cogswell made his way around as well. So from 4th now back to a battle for 6th for the 46 car.
All right, so now he's got to get himself back in the groove.
You mentioned about these cars being on edge, being loose. Does the sensation get any better as we begin to build heat up in the tires, or is it constantly these drivers skating around no matter what the condition of the Goodyears are?
Well, the big thing I heard earlier in the week, and remember, I actually I injured myself just before I was set to start practice for the week. So I haven't actually done any racing in this setup, which is a shame because I actually really like this racetrack. I've had a lot of success here. Love the way that it races. It's quite unique in a couple of different aspects. But the big thing is, from what I was hearing from everyone that was talking about it, was long run. So it's about getting the car to settle long term and keeping the heat out of the rear tires. So you need to drive it slightly differently. The big thing I would be saying is making sure you've got the car nice and straight over the bumps and then pointing it out of the corners. As you start to build back on the throttle, you want to lessen the steering angle. Make sure there's no rotation coming from the rear of the car. And you can control that with both your hands and your feet. It's quite critical. If you stab the gas, it's going to make it looser. If you're easier or smoother on the gas, you're going to be a little bit slower on corner exit, but you'll build it on the long run. But the other thing to consider with these cars as well on the blocks is they do hop around a little bit. Big caution at the back again.
Larry Bell in the 43 has gone around right into that opening there for the safety vehicles to make their way onto the racetrack from the back straightaway. And I believe Mark Gonzalez was collected up in this one. Third caution that the 8 car has been involved in so far tonight. It has been a tough early going for Mark Gonzalez. Again out of 2. Oh, this time swept up in the incident. Larry Bell on the top side getting loose on corner exit.
Yeah, he did. Unfortunately, he just came down. It was, unfortunately, Gonzalez just in the wrong place, wrong time.
Happened so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, that car looked so stable until it didn't. Fortunately for him, had that opening there. Otherwise, he probably would have made contact with the inside wall with the back end of his race car. Talking about Larry Bell. Aside from the contact there from Mark Gonzalez, Bell should have relatively minimal damage here. Should be able to continue on. We've been highlighting all of the music-themed cars in the field. One driver that is not featuring a music-themed machine that I think needs to get a little bit of recognition as well is Lightning McQuaid. How about that? It's not. There's no 95 number on this, so it's not completely authentic. But hey, it's got the Tex Ka-Chow on it. It's got the signature yellow lightning bolt. It's even got the Muffler Man logo fashioned after the Rust-eze logo. I mean, the effort into this, you gotta appreciate it.
Yeah, I do. I thoroughly. It's no Princess McQuaid. That is definitely my my livery of the season. Hey, it's he's had a lot of fun with it. You know, that's the uniqueness of this series, and the uniqueness of iRacing is that, you know, it doesn't take thousands of dollars to get a car wrapped, let alone designing the wrap. It's just get it done and it's on the car. It does take some technicalities for those that are watching along at home. You've got to fit the logos and things to the curves of the race car. That doesn't come out all that prettily in terms of Photoshop file either. There is some mechanics that go on there, and you can see a frame of how it's sort of fashioned up. But that takes some tinkering, some tweaking, and it takes some work as well. There are very few flat body panels if you think about it that way, Seth. Everything sort of stretches just a little bit. So the shape of things when you actually get the file and put it together is not all that simple. It does take some tinkering.
Patrick McQuaid still looking for his first win of the season. If he's in a 3-wide situation for a photo finish tonight, I am going to be fully expecting to see a tongue come out of the front of that car to try and make sure that he gets to the start-finish line first for accuracy. Another driver that's running a special music-related paint scheme here tonight, added to the list of artists or bands I've never heard of. Beartooth, featured on the 14 of Christian Ruse. And right beneath him, you've got the teal and sparkly, glittery pink. Got the lipstick kisses on there. Unmistakably Sabrina Carpenter, featured on Peyton Holland's Toyota here this evening.
I got questions for him. We need to get him into the interview room at some point.
Do you think he drank an espresso before this race?
Ooh! There's actually a lot of dirt and dust actually off the
was.
exit of turn 3 and turn 4. Did you see that?
I did.
That's interesting. That may play out. So remember we're talking about, so what happens with natural progression is, and this is something that differs from circuit racing to NASCAR, and it's to do with the way the amount of practice and stuff that they get in. The big thing for me is that circuit racing, you generally have, multiple practice sessions before the race weekend. You have a qualifying session where it's generally a time session. You get out there, you get to put a whole number of laps in. With NASCAR, it's literally just, you get a 10, 20-minute practice session, and then you get into racing. And there's very, very little time to prep the circuit. But what they do is they sweep the circuit a lot more regularly. Which the whole point of that's actually to pull the rubber off the racetrack. Rodriguez just had an issue on the bottom, so he's going to slide back through the field. That car just hit a bump, basically, come over one of the blocks. But a lot more rubber gets laid down on circuit races, but you want that rubber laid down on circuits. You actually don't want that rubber laid down on particularly cement tracks in NASCAR. Too much grip means the car won't rotate. So it's actually really unique. But the downside of it all is that the big problem is that you get dirt and dust like that. It gets on the racetrack at some point in practice. Somebody slides through the infield, drags it back onto the racetrack. It actually takes a fair while to get that cleaned off.
Not only that, but you get that on your tires. Also, with it being a concrete surface, when drivers run around under pacing, those hot tires are going to pick that rubber off up the racetrack. And we've already seen some drivers have some issues on restarts in the early going. If you're not coming down and changing those tires and going to have those good years for the restarts, as Dalton McKinney's going to go around. No,
he's been loose for a little
He's
while.
going to save it. Brock Whitehead got loose further back there, and he saves it as well. We're going to stay green. Well, hold the phone. Hang on to it, Dalton.
Kept it off the wall.
Uses that access
He's
road
actually
there
okay.
through 3 and 4. Yeah, he should be all right.
Well, the big thing is he just dragged grass back up onto the racetrack. The next time they come down to 3 and 4, that will be less grip than they had.
Keeps it off of the wall, keeps it on the lead lap. Let's follow the leaders here through the corner as they're going to drive through that debris brought out onto the racing surface. Looks like they're going to get through relatively okay.
By the way, Seth, welcome to the iRacing's new debris model, as they call it. You can drag kitty litter. So at Watkins Glen, you know where all the big gravel traps are? You can drag gravel back out on the racetrack. It kicks up dust. So it's pretty. It's also difficult. I know there was a couple opportunities during the Spa 24 Hour a couple weeks ago. I did the graveyard shift for the Australians. Yeah. The best part about iRacing, Seth, is you pick teams from around the world. So you have an Australian, you have an American, maybe 2 Australians, an American, and a European. Well, you got all the major time zones covered. Nobody has to miss out on sleep. Unfortunately, all of the regions tend to like to group up with other drivers from their region because that's who they're racing with and around the most commonly. So what ended up happening was I did the graveyard shift for that one. But there was quite a few opportunities. You could see the drivers were clearly driving overnight and pushing beyond their skill level with fatigue, and it gets dragged out there. And it does reduce the grip level. Grass doesn't reduce it as much, but gravel reduces it quite a lot.
I have to ask, how easy was it to be able to see that debris drug onto the racetrack? How well did it show up in the headlights?
The headlights, it was quite easy during the day, but in the headlights it was a little bit more difficult. But you can still see it from a distance. So you sort of had some planning. And the other thing is, we now have a debris flag, which is a white and yellow and orange striped flag. Yellow and orange vertical stripe flag, and that goes out on all the boards as well. Trey Whitehead now loose on the board. He is very loose. He drove it very hard at the front end of this stage. So I'm not surprised he's starting to slip.
How much did having Matthew Rodriguez on his back bumper come into that loose sensation there? Because both Trey and Matt were running the bottom lane trying to get by Jonathan Cogswell.
Yeah, I mean, pressure. Mental pressure is the big thing. When you're in a battle like that, you just want to go back on the throttle earlier, back on the throttle earlier, on the brakes later. So there'd be some mental pressure. Could have been some air. I don't think it was close enough to generate any sort of air effect. And I think we've already lost Mark Gonzalez for the evening after being involved in 3 cautions.
Making the start, though, he meets the requirement necessary for him to still be eligible to get into the playoffs, as Matt Davies with a big save in front of this battle we were looking at between Kyle Wellman and Christian Ruse. Davies will drift back now to around the 14th position, side by side with Chris Roberge. Up towards the front, Alan Dobbs has not been able to get away by nearly as much as he did on the last couple of restarts. At one point, he had almost 9/10 of a second built up. But Noah Jackson and Brandon Cooper have kept him honest, only about maybe 3 car lengths from first back to second, another half car length back to third.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, mainly the loose sensation of the race car. One of the big things we see is, talk about the dirty air, right? When you get dirty air, what happens? The front tires tend to switch off more than anything else, because that's where all your downforce is in that hole in the front of the race car. So generally we've had tight race cars, dirty air means more wear on the front tires. Another caution's out at the rear.
Kyle Wellman on the back straightaway. We saw him battling just moments ago with Christian Ruse up just outside of the top 10. Brings out the 4th caution of the evening. Wellman made his debut a couple of weeks ago. Bottom of the racetrack here off of turn 2. Maybe a little contact right there between himself and Jeffrey Kleinsma. And then pinballs off of both Chris Roberge and Larry Bell.
Yeah, looks like an issue. Spin off the bottom? Looks like a spin off the bottom.
Minimal contact
Yeah,
with the 42 car. Yeah, you can just see that overcorrecting there, trying to save it.
He's trying to get back to the gas whilst he's loose. That's what triggers that sort of an issue.
Gets the thing refired, grabs a gear, continues on. I believe the leaders had actually come up and were getting ready to bypass him. No, actually, correction. That was Dalton McKinney that I saw that went by him. This caution going to save the 46. Who had managed to have that great save, remained on the tail end of the lead lap, and this caution will allow him to catch back up. Doesn't even need the free pass, which is going to go to Clifford Corveau. Corveau was on pit road getting a lot of repairs done to that right front after he was involved in the first caution of the night and lost 12 laps in the process. He'll now be minus 11 with this yellow flag.
And the critical factor is we're about 15 laps to the stage here as well.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, laps ticking away pretty quickly here. Even though we've had 4 cautions, we've had some pretty lengthy runs here in the early going as well. Driver's been able to settle in and put together some pretty good green flag runs in the early going. I believe we only have 2 more cars to feature here tonight that are running music-themed liveries. At the 71 of Brock Whitehead. So he's got the Young Boy NBA sponsored Toyota. I believe I was told before we came on the air by a friend of mine that he is a rapper. I might be incorrect on that.
I'm too old for that business.
And then number 15, Jeffrey Kleinsma, featuring 21 pilots. And I ran this by our broadcast colleague Matthew Rodriguez before making this pun. But by the end of the night, Jeffrey Kleinsma may be stressed out. There you go. There's my only artist pun of the night.
I'm actually really happy because we come into Music City. And I was scheduled to run that 61 car tonight. And I went and looked it up. I'm actually really happy with the way that's come out. This is Motel du Cap, which is Good Charlotte's next album, which we released in a couple weeks. 2 singles of the album are already out. But it's inspired off playing at a Motel du Cap in France. And I didn't even know a Good Charlotte album was coming until we started registering for this one and getting the paints ready. I looked this up. It went straight onto the race car. It was gold to go straight away. Looks like a porcelain. It's basically what you would see on a porcelain tea mug. Tea mug? Teacup? Teacup.
with the color and the font from a distance, it kind of looks like a White Castle car.
Yeah, a little bit like that, but yeah, I can tell you that the album I'm so keen. Good Charlotte's been my band since I was 8. I think I got my first Good Charlotte album. So 25 years of listening to Good Charlotte and still going strong.
I can tell you that, as I said, I had a list of artists that were featured here tonight that were unknown to me. Good Charlotte was on the list of ones I knew.
Hey, I'm proud. I'm happy. Got me through a lot of heavy stuff, and I think that's the big thing that we're coming through celebrating this year is whenever I felt angry, whenever I felt mad, whenever I was upset, just put some Good Charlotte on. And the best part for me about Good Charlotte is they've got a lot of different vibes, so you can put on different eras of them and really zone in on what you want. I got the opportunity to see them live for my 30th birthday when they were doing an Australian tour. And as soon as I found out they had a new album coming out, I went straight in, grabbed my Good Charlotte jumper out, and wore it for the middle of winter out here in Australia. Nice. Just seen Matt Davies miss the bottom over in 1 and 2 as well. Might have made contact with Brock Whitehead. I think Brock Whitehead might have taken tyres at that stop. He had definitely some damage repair, I think. He was a very, very long pit stop. I have a feeling he might have taken tyres. Oh, sorry, my apologies. That was all the way back on lap 3. Dalton McKenney, though, might have taken tyres.
Double checking there on Dalton. Yeah, I think you might be correct. 14.5 seconds in his pit stall. Yeah, I think that would have been a 4-tire pit stop for the driver of the 46 as things wadded up here just in the latter portion of the top 10. Patrick McQuaid battling it out with Christian Roos. Brock Whitehead looking on.
Still a 4-way fight for that race lead as well. That's not going away. I think that's going to stay.
Time by, going to be 10 laps to go here in this first stage as you see Dalton drive it deep there into turn 1, trying to find something on those fresh Goodyears. They have overshot the entry of the corner just the least little bit. Wraps the bottom on the inside of Matt Davies, looking 3 ahead of him. Settle it out there, but we nearly had Roos, Whitehead, and McQuaid 3 abreast off the final corner.
You just see how much McQuaid's struggling tonight. And the big thing for all of these guys is all season long we've had tight race cars. Tight. Loose race cars are skill car. When they talk about, when I got taught to drive these things, is tight race car you can't do very much about. Loose is fast. Why do we like loose race cars? Loose race cars have a lot of turn in them, but they also require a lot of skill to drive. It is both on the steering wheel, on the throttle pedal, on the brake pedal. It requires driver skill to drive a loose race car. Oh, loose from Brock Whitehead. He had to get out of the gas. McKenny's going to try and get underneath him as well.
Might have gotten saved a little bit there with the door bang to Patrick McQuaid. Might have straightened him out just a little bit off of turn 2.
Yeah.
This important back here, but oh, there's Whitehead.
Oh, there we go.
Off of Matt Davies, who's going through the grass. Little extracurricular landscaping for the 32, who now with those dusty tires almost lost it over in 1 and 2. Brock Whitehead, pretty good impact. Looks like a lot of damage on that right front. He was wrecking all the way from turn 1, and it finally lets go over here in 4. Bouncing off of the 32 of Matt Davies. Well, actually Davies might have pushed up into him.
There's 2 points in this incident that are worthwhile noting. Number one is so the big thing here for me is Matt Davies sort of comes up a little bit, but at the same time, Whitehead comes off the wall. You see how there's a little, you'll see it when we get to the corner exit. So he hits the bump on the entry, starts to drift up, and Whitehead wasn't pressing all the way to the wall, and Davies is expecting him to be a touch higher. And the other thing is, at that point in time, basically, Matt Davies' head would be turned to the left. He would be picking up where Whitehead is out of his peripheral vision on the right-hand side. And there's also an A-pillar there. I don't know that Davies could actually see him. at that point in time, just because of the way the corners are laid out. See those A-pillars? There's another one on the right-hand side of the car. I guarantee you Whitehead would have been there. Oh, well, I think Whitehead turns down at the exit. That view shows he turns down a little bit more.
Peyton Holland got a front row seat of all that, and the seas parted for him as he was able to make his way through, picking up a couple of spots in the process. Pit road starting to get a little busy. We've got a couple of drivers down pit lane, including Matthew Rodriguez and Chris Roberge. Flipping the stage strategy, obviously, here, as we will be getting a restart with less than 5 laps to go. Guaranteed caution going to be coming out at the conclusion of lap 50. Should get the lights out on the pace car this next time around. Clifford Corbeau continues to rack up the lucky dogs here. Free pass will get him to -10. Currently the last car running in the 19th position. Brock Whitehead on pit lane, still taking service as they try to repair that right front quarter panel. Might be a lengthy stay for him. It was same kind of contact for Clifford Corbeau, who was on pit road for multiple laps. Looks like now Brock is leaving pit road. We'll see if he's going to be able to remain on the lead lap as we get ready for the 1 to green. It's going to be a 4-lap shootout to determine the first stage winner here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway.
Yeah. This will be an interesting one. I think this will be critical for the season. These guys are also pressing on. Their lap times just before the end of that. So fastest lap times that we've actually seen so far in the race. I have the fastest lap from Noah Jackson at 30.499. Well, just then, we ran 30.6s, 30.7s. So we're only a couple tenths away from that. So whether or not that's guys actually just looking after their race cars is interesting to note. But yeah, this is not an easy car to drive. But I also feel like fresh tires, I think the plan from the guys that just pit is that they would definitely want to flip the stage. They don't think they're going to get track position, and controlling it and getting the cleaner up front, I think, is the plan for those guys.
Well, for Dalton McKenney, because right now, 12 laps on his tires. He'll have probably about maybe 13, 14 green flag laps on his tires when we come to the conclusion of this stage. Does he try flipping the stage here, or when this stage concludes, does he come back down and use another set?
I do believe he's going to flip the stage, but I think you'll see him come for fuel only will be the big thing for him, because he's got that much longer period of time, not just on tires, but on fuel as well. He's still loose. Christian Roos nearly got some bumping in. Jackson's going to have a crack at this one. I don't see this being a bad move. He needs to try and steal some points away from Dobbs.
He is second in the standings, a former winner this season, but only 1 stage victory here in 2025. He's going to battle with Dobbs to get his 2nd stage victory, add another point to his playoff bucket. Nice rotation through the center, pushing up, though, off the exit.
This is where they both get to starting to slow each other down and drag each other back, but there's no clean air for the cars that are in behind. You can see how much deeper Dobbs can drive it in, but he's got no grip through the center of the corner. The grip at Nashville's right wrapping that bottom in 3 and 4, door banging off of 4.
Trying to side draft each other. That lap, it was Jackson by a splitter, his first lap lead of the night. 2 laps to go in this stage, and to your point, look at how this side-by-side is dragging Brandon Cooper, Trey Whitehead, Jonathan Cogswell up into this conversation.
I gotta be careful. I saw Dobbs was wriggling that car all the way to the wall. He's very high as he entered 3, though. He's got no grip. I think he was out and in the marbles. He couldn't get back to the gas the way that he wanted. So it's gonna be even here. They'll get the green and white. And we'll be back to the green and white checker at the end of this one. And Dobbs finally gets the nose clear, but he had to send it to get it in there into turn 1 and 2 and get clear. And Jackson just rotated it off the bottom. He's going to door him. He's going to make contact.
Into
get into each other.
Dobbs.
That'll rip the right front off. That's a lot of damage.
Saves it, keeps it going. Well, looks like we're going to finish this stage under green as Jackson muscles his way to the point. Cooper will go to second. Battle's going to be for third. Noah Jackson going to pick up the stage victory here in stage number 1.
And I think that was a caution for something that happened at the rear of the field.
Looks like Dobbs may have run into another problem, maybe off of turn 4. Will count as our stage caution nonetheless. Noah Jackson will pick up a valuable 10 regular season points as well as a playoff point for his second stage victory. Cooper, Whitehead, Cogswell, Marr going to be the top 5 with McKenney, Facianato, Ruse, McQuaid, and Kleinsma getting those final spots. Pit road was open and the 20 did not come down.
That's a mistake. That's a big mistake.
It's going to cost him a bunch of valuable track position here as everybody else on pit road. Looks like, to your point, Dalton McKenney is coming down. We'll see if he goes with the fuel-only strategy. No surprise, Matthew Rodriguez, Chris Roberge, who we saw come to pit road prior to this stage ending yellow. Going to stay out, flip the stage, and we'll restart at least up inside of the top 3. Let's go back and take a look at what happened coming back to the green and white checkered flag here to end stage number 1. This was for the stage win.
Yeah, it's just contact. It's just good racing between the two guys, and you can just see Dobbs got loose above him. That's hard racing with a loose race car. And the critical factor is Jackson did stay out, made a mistake. He was supposed to come to pit lane last time, so he goes from leading and getting the stage win to the rear.
See that damage on the right front. Almost looks like maybe the suspension could be broken there. That tire facing inward, and that caused the car really to not be able to turn through 3 and 4. And Dobbs, eventually, that car snaps on him. And he spins down through the infield grass. Here's a look at it again as that thing just comes out from underneath. And Matthew Rodriguez nearly became the buffer between him and the outside wall.
And look, I ain't going to put fire on that track because there's absolutely nothing in between them. They had beef last week at Indy. But that is 100% Dobbs just losing a damaged race car on his own. And Rodriguez was in the right spot at the right time.
So to your point, a lot of damage on the number 35. Started from the pole position. It led the most laps up to this point on pit road. Looks like has completed service. Lost a lap in the process. Will be hoping for a lucky dog to get back on the lead lap. The question is going to be, will the speed we saw in the early going still be there for that race car? Obviously, he's going to be at a deficit for track position and more than likely not going to be able to get that car back up to 100%.
Yeah, so him, I just think he's not going to be able to repair that race car. I just went on board and had a little bit of a look at his steering wheel angle. His wheel is so far pushed to the left. He's going to have it's going to be a struggle just to keep that thing on the road, I think. But he's sort of forced. Not really anything he can do. Stage number 2 is going to have some interesting racing then. Different car at the point, fresh tires. I just saw Facianato miss the bottom fractionally deep on entering 1 and 2. It's difficult back in the pack. It is very, very difficult back in the pack, which is why you're seeing guys flip the stage.
Rodriguez, Roberge, and Brock Whitehead all flip the stage, as that's your top 3. Good call there on Dalton McKenney. Fuel only. Restarted in the 4th position. That's where he currently runs. First driver on fresh tires would be Trey Whitehead in the 23, currently in the 5th position. We'll see what he can do with him.
And the big thing is, have a look at Brock Whitehead. He's gained a lot because of all that damage. But remember, he had a damaged race car. So he had to go to work on that thing just prior to the stage as well. He went to the rear. Now's his opportunity. But also for Roberge, critical time period in the series and the season to get himself into contention.
Yeah, to your point earlier earlier tonight, given the whole playoff scenario. He's right down there around the bubble. We've seen him not afraid to mix it up when it comes to flipping the stage. Went to that playbook again here at the conclusion of stage 1. Currently in the 3rd position, right ahead of the driver on board, with that being the fresh tires of Trey Whitehead, who's currently battling on the inside of Dalton McKenney. McKenney, great run there off of turn number 4. Gonna not only repass Trey Whitehead, but also gonna get around Roberge, move him from 5th up to 3rd in the matter of about half a straightaway.
Very, very importantly, Noah Jackson's got a penalty. He's on pit lane, and I believe he's 2 laps down. So he picked up a penalty. Remember how he said he stayed out? He made a mistake. He had to come to pit lane. He entered a closed pit lane. That is come back down under green for a 1-lap stop and hold. Well, sorry, I believe it's a 40-second stop and hold. Matt Davies has had issues. He's around at the rear end of the field as well.
No caution as he continues on.
On his own. Yeah.
That was over in turn 3.
Now somebody else at the front's just going around.
Brock Whitehead.
There's Brock Whitehead.
That will bring out the caution here for the 7th time tonight. 6th caution for cause. Brock was running at the time in the, I believe, 2nd position.
He was 2nd. And that's the bumps as you come back up out of 1 and 2. All on his own.
He's trying to hold off Dalton McKenney and Trey Whitehead. It's kind of hard visibly to be able to see the car bottom out with those bumps you're talking about. How much do you feel it inside of the race car?
You do. You literally feel it in the steering wheel because the wheel will shudder just a little bit in your hands as you transition across all the blocks. You can actually feel it. And you'll actually see it in the race car a little bit. It's just, see how the front and the rear of the car is just constantly bouncing the whole time? That's transitioning over the blocks. Now, as you come through the bottom here, he turns the pointer, and there's a little bump there. You see it? Very, very quick. It happens very, very quickly that the car just suddenly jumps slightly to the right.
So interesting, I was going to bring up earlier, I noticed a couple of drivers, specifically Jonathan Cogswell, as drivers were making their way through 1 and 2, running a little bit higher up on the racetrack. They'd run the bottom through 3 and 4, but they'd run up about 2, maybe 3 grooves off the bottom in 1 and 2. Is that all in an attempt to avoid that bump off corner exit?
Yeah, a little bit. You'll talk to yourself about setting the race car so that you're driving around those, and you're not hitting them. So it's all about car setup. It's all about planning. Remember we said last week about setting yourself up, or a couple weeks ago at Charlotte, about setting yourself up to drive through the dirty air. Well, it's much the same here. You set yourself up, you drive through it, you plan that the car is going to be loose, and so you balance the car around it. But it's all about planning. If you set yourself up, you give yourself a lot more corner. You want to drive it as straight as you can exit. And the reason for that is, one little slip of the tires, not so bad. That's going to happen. Just about everyone on the field tonight is going to have that happen. We've seen our race leader do it. We've seen the guy that's on the outside front row. All those guys up the front have done that so far. The second part of it is, well, okay, I do it for 5 laps. Now there's some heat in the tires. Now, that heat with the new tire model, historically, once you get heat in the tires, that's it. That's the end of those tires. You got to really drive around them. These tires, you're starting to be able to get some of the heat to come back out of them yet again. Then they get a little bit better. You know, it's not too bad. But if you keep driving them and you slip them, slipping them scrapes the tire across the surface, takes wear out of that tire. So the heat might come back to you, but the grip certainly isn't. So it's about minimizing that, and then you'll get it back. If it's at the front end of the car, you get a tight race car, you do scrub the tire across the surface of the race car by adding steering wheel. If it's the rear end, it's the angle of the race car that you've actually got to be careful with. So there's a couple different ways to drive around it.
A couple of drivers in particular have really struggled here in the early going of this one. We documented Mark Gonzalez out of the race. Brock Whitehead, the latest driver to go to the garage area. He's been in a couple of incidents tonight, a couple of solo spins, has been dealing with some damage as well, and so he will finish, it looks like, in the 19th position. Clifford Corveau, in about 7 laps, will bypass him for that spot. I believe Clifford got the lucky dog under this yellow, so he is now only 9 laps down to the leaders. Noah Jackson, as you already documented, with having to serve that penalty, still -2. It's been a tough night for a number of our front runners in the points, with Dobbs back there. Bunch of damage, tail end of the lead lap. Jackson off the lead lap. Maybe an opportunity here for a couple of drivers 3rd, 4th, 5th in the points, like Trey Whitehead, Patrick McQuaid, or Dalton McKenney, to close up some distance here down the final few races of the regular season.
Yeah, but it'll be an opportunity as well. And the big thing I would sort of say and have a look at is, you know, what can you do to keep yourself out of trouble? Well, the big thing is we're starting to see Alan Dobbs crack a little bit, I would say. I've got to be honest. His performances the last couple of weeks have, particularly at Charlotte, I mean, he had to come from the rear at Charlotte, which certainly didn't help, but he didn't look like himself. He wasn't at the point. He was sort of trying to strategize his way through. Drove okay. You know, they got a reasonable result. But a loose race car, and all of a sudden he was quick, but just struggled a little bit on that long run. And it just makes me ask questions about whether or not there's a hole there that can be exploited. That'll be the big thing, making sure that these guys can put some pressure on him. If nobody's putting pressure on him, then those little holes won't matter.
Back at Jonathan Cogswell from the back bumper of Tanner Marr. Documented for Tanner, our winner from Talladega. Not enough starts to be eligible for a spot in the playoffs, but that's not going to dissuade him from trying to get that second checkered flag of 2025. Cogswell's been up in the conversation late in a number of races. I think you dubbed him one of the best drivers on the short run. And right now, currently in the 7th position. Mr. Consistency, Patrick McQuaid, currently behind them, holding down a spot inside the top 10 in 8th. Big move there off the corner for Tanner Marr, able to gather it up, but look at the momentum he loses as they're going to split him 3 going into turn 3.
Well, the big thing for Tanner, the big thing I was looking at for Cogswell is have a look at how high he's running in the corner. He's up on the edge of the marbles. Now, the biggest thing from running up there, he's going to maintain momentum. That's great. But it's very difficult to see where the marbles are when you get into the corner. You sort of got to know where they are. He will clean the top of the racetrack off lap by lap. Dynamic track roll. It will clean itself up. We'll get a little bit more rubber pressure down up there. How big was that at Dover over the weekend?
Oh, man.
How good was it to see cars using as much of the racetrack as physically possible? I love seeing that at Dover.
Oh, we had some contact back there. Kyle Wellman just got moved up out of the groove after some contact with, I believe that was Christian Ruse. Looks like we've got that pretty well sorted. Up at the front, 7-lap older tires, but clean air. The advantage for Matthew Rodriguez, trying to keep Trey Whitehead in the rearview mirror. As Dalton again with a moment, and this time he's going to hit the wall.
Yeah, can't save it every day. And that will be a hefty shot to the left front on that car. I do think that is going to be a fair bit of steering damage for him.
5th in points coming into this one. Already pretty much locked into the playoffs through a points-paying position. Had a great save about 15 laps ago. This time, though, makes contact with that inside wall. It was down off the racing surface, so we stay green.
I think the big thing and an interesting thing is, what is Noah Jackson going to do to get himself back off the lead, back on the lead lap? Lap 100, he's going to get a freebie, but he needs one more caution to go his way. He gets 2 cautions, he's back on the lead lap, he's back in contention. So he's going to have to think about doing what he can. I think the big thing for him will be this next run. There's no benefit to him pressing on the tires, so he should be saving about as physically as much tire as he can. The only goal will be don't fall 1 more lap down. So if he does that, he'll be okay. And then to everyone ahead of him, he's looking for a caution. He gets 1 caution. Then he can press on, go and possibly earn his lap back. If he earns his lap back, he can pit with everybody else. Doesn't have to take the lucky dog. He can start right on the rear of the field as well. So there's a couple little benefits and things that he can go about his way. I actually really like calling the longer races in terms of strategy when you get a lot of cautions as well. You get reasonable run. Trey Whitehead gets loose off the bottom. He's going to correct it back up. That'll be a caution for sure. Just got Cogswell.
Everybody's going to make their way by him. That could have been a lot worse with that overcorrect back up into traffic.
He's done real well to lock it down there as well. So great job.
He's in the second position. I don't know what it is about Whiteheads and being in P2. Brock Whitehead went around from second place on the last caution. Trey Whitehead this time, and as you mentioned, a little contact there for Cogswell. You could see the damage on the nose right in the middle of that Camry logo.
And that's, I believe, from making contact with Cogswell on the top side.
Turn 2 exit has been the major offending trouble spot so far here tonight.
Tell you what, Seth, you reckon he's good for a chat? I reckon we should get him up here.
Yeah, why not?
Great. It's Scott and Seth up in the broadcast booth. You got a cop?
Yeah, I got you.
Mate, what? Lack of grip or lack of talent? Which one?
I mean, I guess you could say lack of talent, but I know that the car does like to get a little upset when somebody gets right on the bumper. And I'm not faulting Brandon or anything. That I was kind of coming down and trying to apex the corner at the same time he caught up to me, and it just a whole air deal. It just went around on me. So
that was the interesting thing. I think. Look, these cars, I believe, got an aero model update just recently as well. Because I was talking to some other people, and they said there's been a super speedway package actually update. You physically feel the cars move around with the side draft now, which is I'm really curious. But heading to the end of the stage here, this looks like a fuel only stop and get some repairs off the front end. What's the plan from here? Is it just get the race car back to perfect and go at it? Are we going to try and pick off a couple spots, work our way through?
yeah, I think we're gonna just try to take it easy. You know, we still got 20. We'll go green with about 27, 26 laps left in the stage. So I'm sure we'll pick a few guys off and try to get some stage points. You know, top 10 always pays out. So we'll try to get there. That's our goal.
Mate, most importantly, difficult race car to drive by the look of it. Is it easier to drive it with dirty air on the nose? Does it get a touch tighter, or is it actually more loose and dirty air?
I would say that it drives good in dirty air. The only problem is your drive off. It's really unstable. It likes to be really loose in clean air, and it likes to be really tight in dirty air. So just trying to find a balance and running your own line. And I've tried to do pretty good at painting the yellow line all the way around instead of trying to ride it up like a few guys have. And it's been working, so we'll just keep at it.
All right, man. Enjoy. I figured we'd get you in here, bother you, and look. Most importantly, go tell that brother of yours that he needs to drive better. And then same conversation to yourself, hey?
Right? Yeah, I got to figure it out too, I guess. So
Have fun, brother.
yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Trey's going to restart back in 14th place. Saw as that interview was going on, Noah Jackson, this is exactly the caution that he needed. Gets the free pass, so now he is -1. And with that guaranteed caution coming out at the conclusion of stage 2, if nobody else falls a lap down, he should be back on the lead lap in preparation for the third and final stage.
Yep, so that's exactly what he needed. So he is nearly back to a point where he can just settle down and go racing. So good for these boys. Get their heads down, see what they can do.
Matthew Rodriguez going to elect the outside line as the control car here for this upcoming restart. He'll have Brandon Cooper on the inside, 3-time winner on the season. Rylan Facinato, Tanner Marr, Patrick McQuaid going to be the top 5. See what kind of a launch Matt Rod's able to get on that outside line as, again, Brandon Cooper. That's the second restart we've seen where Cooper has not been able to time it correctly. The first time was against Dobbs back on restart number 2. This most recent restart against Matthew Rodriguez.
I'm really curious as well about how Jonathan Cogswell is going to go on the log run. Like we said, one of the better cars on short run pace. But the other thing is, every time we've seen it go well on short run pace and then fallen off, it's been tight race cars. This is the first time we've actually had a true loose race car set, and that does change the way that everything drives. You can see the line. This isn't a normal line that you would expect. It's normally bottom feed it when you come to Nashville. Cooper's going to power back around a second as well. You got this battle in the midfield. So this takes a totally different skill set. It is not something that you can just lock in and drive. This takes a lot of practice and a lot of knowing what the car is going to do.
Talk about the concrete surface and just kind of looking at the weather conditions as well. 78 degrees for the ambient temperature, but look at the triple digits, 102 degrees here. You add in that heat to the track surface, it just makes it even more slippery for these drivers to have to deal with.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to just being smooth, being consistent, looking after yourself, and planning. I think the big thing is planning. We're in the back half of the run now. We're past the halfway mark on this stage, and that means that all that work that you've done on tires, you're starting to see who was saving tires and who wasn't.
Well, might have brushed the wall there on entry as, ooh, big lift by Patrick McQuaid in the middle of the pack.
Well done by all, giving each other enough space. Is Roberge gonna have a crack at him as well? He is, but he was giving him room. That's why he was all the way down at the bottom of the racetrack, is to give him as much room as physically possible.
One driver that got through all of that was Trey Whitehead, who we talked with just moments ago. Trying to work his way back up through the field. Get by Jeffrey Kleinsma, move up to P9.
Matt Davies on the way into the corner was all out of shape then too, and he saved it. So the big thing for Davies now, just ahead, as we're going to see these cars go, so that's Mar and Facinano. But the big thing for Davies is now he's going to be loose for a little while. He's going to drive around that, make sure he's setting the car, and he did make a good response down in 3 and 4. Lost a lot of time doing it, but that's what you got to do.
Now he's got Trey Whitehead all over his back bumper. Going to look to the top side, right rear quarter panel through 1 and 2. Tries to wrap right up where that dark gray is, where that rubber is. Don't overshoot and get that right front up into those marbles. And he'll move into the 8th position, will Trey.
And one of the things I'm looking at, Seth, is they're downshifting on the corners. Now, it's just the gearing ratio with the way it is. I think you have to downshift at both ends of the racetrack. But I think one of the things that's actually getting these race cars loose is how early they're downshifting. Look, he bashes the gears down. And that's not what you want. When you got a loose car, you want a stable braking platform. So here he's loose in the middle and exit. When you bash the car down through the gears, you're activating the engine braking basically to try and slow the car up. Look how early he downshifts. I'd be leaving it all the way to just about you want to pick up the throttle again to pluck that downshift on the gear.
Now, obviously, it's been well documented. My knowledge of iRacing is somewhat limited. Most of what I know for sim racing is from its parent sim, if you will, NASCAR Racing 2003 season. And from what I remember there, if you remain in a higher gear, car has a little bit more stability at a speedway. With these drivers downshifting to 4th gear, would there be a viable option to stay in 5th gear and keep the car underneath you, which Kleinsma's having a little difficulty with there off of 4?
No. So the big thing is, and Jack Kleinsma actually just apologized. He said that's all on me as well, which is what we want to hear. And Davies apologized to the contact as well. But the big thing is, you need the drive off. So if you stay in 5th gear, the car's not going to drive off the corner as quick. So yes, you'll have a more stable braking platform. But what I'm saying is, leaving it in 5th gear until just before you get back to the gas means that you're braking. You get all the benefits of stable braking, stable down into the corner, stable on the initial rotation, and then you downshift it to 4th, and then you start to build the drive back out, because that's what you're looking for, is you're actually looking for that drive off the corner by shifting. So it's different to remembering these cars have 5 gears as opposed to the 4. The big thing for 4 gears is there are very, very few times you actually want to downshift to 3rd.
Well, you might not want to look in your rearview mirror, Matthew Rodriguez, because company is coming.
We actually had a huge lead just a few moments ago and lost that, so I wonder whether or not it was just a mistake. But the big thing for me is when you have 5 gears, the gear ratios, even though the speeds are very close together between 4 gear and 5 gear cars, what that does is it just means you've got to get through more gears. So there is more benefit to shifting, whereas opposed to the old cars.
Cooper tried
Rodriguez
to
is
stand
loose.
left rear.
What you'll see is as soon as he gets closer in the corner entry here, there'll be a bunch of air go up and onto it, and you'll be struggling for grip in the rear.
Cogswell's right there. Tanner Marr's right there. Kyle Wellman just got by Rylan Faccianato to move up into the 5th position. I gotta double check and see if Kyle Wellman's scored any points yet this season. This may be his first stage points of the season overall. Yeah.
He's only made one start prior to this race, so this is his second race. It'll be quite critical. He's not going to be here for the playoff eligibility, but he's out here to have fun. Whitehead is kicking around in 7th spot. He's actually going to have a go at Rylan Facinato for 6th.
Trey third in points coming into this one. 2 drivers he's chasing in the standings have had some issues here tonight. Alan Dobbs trying to recover from earlier contact at the close of stage 1. He's up to the 13th position. And Noah Jackson currently in line to get back on the lead lap with the upcoming
Whitehead's
caution
mega
here
loose.
under the stage. Yellow. Oh, going for a ride in the infield
Saved it.
grass over that access road, but keeps it gathered up.
Close. Drifts back to McQuaid.
Was battling for 6th, drops back to 10th. Still in line
Good
for a
save.
stage point, though.
He drove it in very, very hard to that corner.
Talk about what the drivers are dealing with here with these cars getting snappy loose and everything. Yes, we've seen some spins here tonight, but we've seen some really good saves as well. Cars
agree
that
with
should have wrecked that haven't.
Yeah. And the big thing is, there's a couple things that are attributed to that battle for the lead going on. Cooper's going to get to the inside, diving in very, very deep. He's going to be able to stick it. Does stick, but he drifts very high. Now he gets up and out of the groove. Oh, boy!
They both were really struggling off of 2. Rodriguez was nearly spinning it on the bottom. Cooper was getting loose up on the top. They make contact, and Cooper is up into the outside
Cooper's
wall.
done. Cooper is going to be done for the day. Ah, that's frustrating, unfortunately.
Now Jonathan
happened to
Cogswell's
Cooper?
going to move
He's
into
done.
2nd place here. Now we saw him leave the racetrack there. Ooh, a couple cars up to the wall. Tanner Marr. So Brandon Cooper going to be done for the day. 3-time winner on the season. One of the maybe top 3 or 4 fastest cars in the weekend based off of the running performance and practice speeds. Clifford Corbeau also out of the race, along with Brock Whitehead and Mark Gonzalez. 16 drivers remain, 15 of them on the lead lap. We'll have that 16th driver get back in the lead lap as well in Noah Jackson in a little less than 9 laps.
I think the big thing tonight is, but you got to remember, I'm sitting here not just commentating, I'm also doing race control a little bit as well. There's actually, every time we've looked at an incident tonight, there's been driver error in largely. How about this for Jonathan Cogswell? He'd love a stage victory. He'd love a stage win.
Cogswell has a total of 93 stage points. He's yet to put a crooked number in the stage wins column. And you mentioned about Kyle Wellman just out here having fun. He'd love to pick up a stage victory. He's up here if these two
Deep.
continue to battle.
That's very deep from Cogswell, but he found some grip. Nearly got loose. That's going to be 8 to go at the line on the stage.
Rylan Faccianato's up here in the conversation. Tanner Marr, there's Christian Ruse back there as well. 6th position for the Beartooth Chevrolet. Don't count any of these top 6 out. One mistake, one slide up could open up the door for someone to move right on by and snipe the stage victory.
That's it. Think about Faccianato. He needs the points. He desperately needs the points. But the critical thing for Faccianato is the guy that he's trying to track down in the points is 3 spots behind him in Chris Roberge. So he's also going to get stage points. But the big thing I'm looking at Faccianato, he's not loose. You look at all of these guys at the moment, they're all really, really loose. Faccianato's actually got maybe a race car that looks a touch tight. A little bit of a mistake. I just said that, and immediately commentators cursed him. He gets loose as soon as I say that.
When you said the word tight, it sent a gust of air down there to a spoiler.
It's funny you say that. Is it the air? No, there is actually no wind. There's very, very little wind. 2 mile an hour wind at the moment, and that is coming from the north.
And from what we heard there from Trey Whitehead, a lot of the air they're having to deal with is what's coming off of the race cars around and behind them.
You can get gusty tracks, and the car just handles different all the time. And the gusty tracks are interesting as well, because if you have the air and the direction it's swinging around from, it's very unpredictable. You sort of just go into a corner and hope, or at least drive it a touch under the limit. When you get racetracks that are like that, you actually got to underdrive it a little bit, because the limit may come down to where you underdrive it to. But if you're driving it to a limit that was there last lap, as Cogswell's going to see the gap open up underneath him for Carl Wellman, trying to get momentum off the corner. I think that's what Cogswell's looking for. He's just bought a ton of time for Rodriguez out in front. You know, the big thing is, have a look at all the big drivers this season. Guys who have been quick. All of them have had issues today. All of them.
Yeah, right now I'd say highest running of our consistent drivers would be Trey Whitehead, and he's mired all the way back in 8th, and that's after he had a slip up off of turn 2. Gathered it up on the back straightaway. Patrick McQuaid back there with him in 9th. Some new faces up here at the front. Some drivers that are looking to add a race victory to what has been rather consistent seasons. Looking at Cogswell, who came into this race 7th in points. You documented 25 of Rylan Faccianato really needing points here as he's down around that bubble line. Christian Ruse comes into this race 6th in the standings.
Yeah, doing a great job as well. Concrete. It's the great, driver equalizer. Heard more tires sliding.
Ooh.
It was Mara in the background. Someone just got the ball. Someone just got the wall quite high.
Christian Ruse.
Chris Ruse, yeah.
Sees makes his way around our camera shot here through 3 and 4. Looks like he's okay, but that looked like a pretty good shot too. Looks like there's some damage on the left front fender. He might have gotten away with one there. Rodriguez way up the track.
Well, he saved it.
He did, but
oh, he's out of fuel. He's actually out of fuel. He's out of fuel. This is the last lap. He's not going to make the caution.
Cogswell will look to the inside off of 4, and with Rodriguez sputtering to the line, Cogswell will pick up his first stage victory of the season. Take stage number 2. Remember, we saw Rodriguez stay out and flip the stage at the close of stage 1. He was able to get to the line. I believe he crossed in 5th position at the time that the caution flew, but to your point now, he's more than likely going to have to come down a closed pit road for service here.
Yep. I'm sorry, Seth. I'm actually just in a fair bit of pain at the moment. Just give me a sec.
Kyle Wellman's going to cross in 2nd. Rylan Faccianato. Talked about him really needing points. He's going to get them as he finished in 3rd. Tanner Marr, I believe, is going to get credit for 4th with Christian Ruse in 5th. It all depends on where the 61 crossed the start-finish line. Chris Roberge, Patrick McQuaid, Matt Davies, and Larry Bell look like they are all going to get stage points as well. Here in the 2nd stage, pit road is open, and now we gear up for the 3rd and final stage of the evening here at Nashville. Noah Jackson's going to get the free pass here, so we'll have all 16 remaining drivers on the lead lap, and Chris Roberge stays out, question mark?
When did he pit?
43 laps ago.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do. So he's going quite deep. I think. Well, the thing is, remember Noah Jackson pit. On on the second time by, and he got a penalty for that. So I don't know that you can actually pit here. Peyton Hollins also stayed out, so it's not just one, it's two of them.
And both on the same field number. Both pitted back on lap 60. So just how much further can these drivers go? Are they banking on a caution to bail them out? Are they thinking maybe save a set of tires, an extra set of tires for a late race restart?
No, there's no way. There's no way, because they've only would have used 2 sets to this point, so there'd be 3 sets for the end of the race, which should be more than enough. Like,
Not exactly sure what the strategy call is for the 9 and the 19, but looks like they're going to be the front row when we go back green.
well, the 19's just us running well. He doesn't want to be at the front, so he's going to go to the rear.
So now it'll be, looks like Cogswell with the fresh tires will line up on the front row with Chris Robert. There was 4 tires all around for all the drivers that came down pit road, packet full of fuel. Wellman, Faccianato, Mar, and Ruse, the top 5, leaving pit lane. It looks like we're going to have about 96 laps to finish out this race here tonight from the Nashville Superspeedway. Got Matt Metler up here in the booth with us now, and Matt, I mean, we've definitely seen these drivers out here. They've been struggling. They've been lacking for grip, and it kind of looks like they've been backing it off a little bit here to keep these cars underneath them. When does it get to go time, and we just pray that the rear tires are going to allow us the grip we need?
Well, hey, you hit the nail on the head. When will those Dr. Feelgoods give us what we need? I believe the green flag is back in the air, and pardon me, I'm just loading into the session, but those Dr. Feelgoods will give up on here quick, fast, and in a hurry here, especially if you're not patient on that throttle.
Chris Robert's got himself a great launch on those older tires. Kyle Wellman's going to swing around the outside of Cogswell to move into second place. It will be interesting to see what the strategy is here for the 9. He got the good launch, which is what he needs, but he's got 43-lap old tires to the drivers behind him. Now, we saw towards the close of that second stage, it was 7 laps, the difference of the tires between Cogswell, who was trying to reel in Matthew Rodriguez and wasn't able to gain ground until Rodriguez ran out of fuel. It'll be interesting to see how long it will take for Wellman and company to reel in their Monster Energy Chevrolet.
Yeah, Kyle Wellman, he is really grinding at this race. Started all the way in the rear with the gear, 18th on the starting grid. Now he currently resides P2, and he is bringing all the boogie towards the front in that 42 machine. That driver there knows how to get it done on these concrete surfaces. Look for him to start to dial up the pressure here as we get later on into this race. Also, a master of saving the tires. Definitely circle him for one of the ones to watch. Is currently the 84 now. Starting to make some headway as well. He has Ryan Fasciato in tow there, the 25 ride. Currently running out your top 3. Oh, the 9 ride goes off into the grass.
Big save for Chris Robert as those old tires coming into play off of turn 2. Gathered it up through the infield grass on the back straightaway, but there's all that track position gone. Doesn't bring out a caution either, so he's still going to have to deal with those old tires on this run.
Just cannot seem to catch a break. He goes full-blown John Deere mode right through the grass. No caution flag. He was off the racing surface. Now, as you mentioned, he has lost all that track position. Now he has to just try to ride it out and pray for a caution as we're still under green flag conditions here from Nashville Superspeedway.
Talked about Kyle Wellman and how good he is on the concrete surfaces. We mentioned only one previous start coming into tonight. Obviously not going to be able to make enough starts to be able to have a spot in the playoffs. And I kind of call that a blessing and a curse. Obviously everybody wants to have a chance to run for the championship, but how much pressure does it take off of you knowing you don't really have to worry about points? You don't really have to worry about a playoff spot. You can just go out there, run the type of race you want to run to be able to pick up a checkered flag.
In the words of Kevin Harvick, Wellman can become the bull out there. This is like running an all-star race every Wednesday night when he loads in his race car. No stress, just go out there and go trophy hunting, and that's what Kyle Wellman does so well, and you're seeing it right now, right here from Music City. However, that 84 is not letting him get away. That Dark Horse Mustang is keeping him in check. Just about a half a car length now off the rear of that ZL1 Camaro.
A little further back in the field, got a battle going on for fourth place. Tanner Marr, a little up out of the groove into those marbles. Saw him really struggling for grip on corner exit. Gonna lose the fourth position to Trey Whitehead. Here comes Christian Ruse to his back door, and yes, that is Noah Jackson, running currently in the 7th position. Got the free pass under this latest stage caution. He's back on the lead lap, trying to make his way back forward after he came down a closed pit road and had to serve a penalty under green that cost him 2 laps.
2 laps, and he is still out there grinding it on the racetrack, has not lost focus inside that TRD-powered machine. As you mentioned, back up into that 7th place position. And I think the story here for Jackson has been not to give up, stay in there and fight. And he is doing that, and he is reaping the rewards. And we all know that 20 car is never out of this thing. The 32, how can we talk about Matt Davies for a moment? I mean, here's a guy a few weeks ago off the radar. And then all of a sudden, he hit a switch. He has found another gear, and he has speed and consistency each and every week. This driver has really come to life here as we get deeper into the regular season.
Driver who is now up in the conversation for one of those final spots into the playoffs. As you talked about, finding a new gear, back-to-back 6th place finishes at both Charlotte and Indianapolis, and right now holding down a spot inside of the top 10, currently trying to hold off the 77 of Patrick McQueen. Oh, and now Davies gonna get loose right in front of Patrick McQuaid. The two gonna make some contact. There's another spin up ahead. That's Rylan Faccianato and Kyle Wellman. No caution as of yet for 2 separate incidents involving a total of 4 drivers.
Multiple meeting of the minds all over this racetrack calamity unfolding in multiple sections, and still no caution out there on the racetrack. The 77 finally gets it pointed in the right direction. You just mentioned McQuaid moments ago. The next thing you know, his car's pointed every which way but straight. That was an intense moment out there on the racetrack, and that's going to have big-time implications for some of the big-name drivers in this series, as we now are currently working lap 114 out of the scheduled 200.
Number of drivers that were looking for being able to capitalize on a lot of the big dogs week after week, having some issues as Kyle Wellman tried to the outside of Jonathan Cogswell, overcorrects into the outside wall, clips Rylan Faccianato. That's what happened up there. 2nd and 3rd position off of turn 2 collected up in the incident. Major contact on that right front for Kyle Wellman. We'll now take a look more in depth at what happened between Matt Davies and Patrick McQuaid. The big surprising thing for me here, Matt, is that neither of these incidents brought out a yellow flag. Both of them deemed out of the way, down off the racing surface.
You know, sometimes when it's the nighttime, it's the right time. It's Nashville, baby, and it's just lean, mean, and caution-free. That's apparently how the RC wants to run this race right now. Wild to think that was going to happen out there. I thought for sure we would see that yellow flag come out, but nope, no yellow flag, and they just kept on a record. And yet, here we are. Throw that monkey wrench into your plans, but strap in, folks. It's only about to turn up from here, I can promise you that.
What a tough break there for Kyle Wellman. Got some really good stage points there at the close of stage 2. Was out in front for a few laps here in stage 3 as Trey Whitehead pancakes the right side of his car up at turn 2. And Wellman has brought it to pit road and to the garage area. We also saw both Peyton Holland and Chris Roberge, who stayed out trying to flip the stage, though they had about 40 to 45 laps on their tires, both having to make pit stops here under green flag conditions. They're now in a fight for the free pass spot. Trey Whitehead trying to close up the gap here on Jonathan Cogswell. This would be the battle for the lead. Looks like they've done a pretty good repair job on the front end of that Morgan Wallen Toyota Camry, as now Cogswell with a moment off of 4. Big run for the 23, looks to the inside. It's just kind of been the running trend here tonight, Matt, and the fact that you can maybe have a car strong enough to get by somebody, but you put yourself in a bit of a predicament, a bit of a precarious spot in doing so. More of the passes tonight have been capitalizing on the mistakes of the drivers you're battling.
Right, how much is that position worth to you on the racetrack? How much do you want to risk or possibly put yourself in a bad position? And that's really been one of the calling cards of this racetrack once we've started to race on here inside of all things related to NASCAR. Getting back to Jonathan Cogswell, he's a longtime veteran of this series. You know, you go back a couple years and he was always in the conversation of winning races. He's fallen off a little bit, but the more I watch him out there, he is starting to get back to form. And this man, if I remember correctly, has more second place finishes than any driver all time in this series. So Cogswell, right where you expect him, but don't let Trey Whitehead fool you. This guy here, he's an ace out there on the racetrack. His one weakness, if Cogswell can continue to put pressure on the back of that TRD powered machine, get him to mirror drive a little bit, that's when Whitehead seems to have moments out there. He'll make mistakes. Look at Cogswell now trying to find another way around the 23. As you mentioned, passing him is one thing, catching them is another.
And then big moment off of 4 for Trey Whitehead. Here comes Cogswell with a run. A thing, too, about Jonathan Cogswell that maybe has a bit of an advantage over Trey Whitehead is the fact that the entirety of this race, he's been searching. He's been up the racetrack in 1 and 2. He's been up the racetrack in 3 and 4. Most drivers have been pretty committed to the inside of the racetrack. Maybe a half groove, maybe a full groove off the bottom, but nobody's really ventured way up the track like Jonathan Cogswell has. That might be his ace in the hole here if he's trying to look for clean air to the nose and trying to look for maneuverability, as now a wiggle off of turn 4. Here comes Trey Whitehead, and you bring up a great point there, Matt, in the fact that Scott and I have talked about during the course of this season. There are drivers that have just had the consistency, and you know at some point it's going to all come together for them to find victory lane. We saw 3 weeks ago Noah Jackson finally break into winner's circle. Trey Whitehead and Jonathan Cogswell have been 2 other drivers on that list, and here they are side by side, both looking for their first checkered flag of 2025.
It's a John Force special, a drag race down the backstretch, now into the turns 3 and 4 complex. Trey Whitehead has got it dialed up on the high side, but here comes Cogswell back. The 23 is going to clear for the spot. And getting back to your point about that consistency, that's why I love the driver inside of that Dark Horse Ford Mustang. I was able to spend time with him on a team a couple years ago. He actually helped me get my lone win in this series. Believe it or not, all places at the All-Star race. And you're seeing the best of these 2 drivers right now duking it out on the racetrack. You can see the respect, the give and take right now as we work lap 125. But we both know that all that's going to change here in a little bit when the gloves come off. And don't look now, that 20 car is starting to close in on these guys. In fact, last time by, he was about 0.3 of a second faster. The 20 of Jackson is coming.
Just noticed as the leaders were making their way down the back straightaway, Peyton Holland had gone around down on the apron. He's got that Sabrina Carpenter Toyota rolling once again. We still stay under green. Peyton was already a lap down, just lost a second one as the leaders thundered on past him. And yeah, to your point, there he is, same camera shot. He's been running the fastest laps of the drivers in the top 5 right now. Noah Jackson saw him have some contact with Alan Dobbs in a battle for the race lead at the close of stage 1. Had to come down pit road to serve a penalty for pitting under a closed pit road. And now, after a couple of lucky dogs back in the conversation, he got his first victory 3 weeks ago. He's looking for his second one here tonight.
Once you finally break through and taste victory lane as a driver, if you've been on the verge and you've just been struggling to break that bubble, once you finally do that, like Noah Jackson did, to your point, 3 weeks ago, as you know, sometimes those wins, you just click them off one after another. And I think that 20 car is one of those drivers that is capable of doing that. He's had consistency. He's had speed at times all year long. He's also had probably one of the most brilliant saves of the year. If I remember correctly, back from Pocono, This guy's a grinder. He knows how to fight through adversity. The one thing he just hasn't had is lady luck on his side. And if he can turn those tides around as he drifts the corner, by the way, things could go in the right direction here for the 20 as it starts to become a three-way battle here for first place. It's Trey Whitehead with about 0.3 of a second advantage over Jonathan Cogswell. And then the Toyota of Noah Jackson rounds out your top three as they currently run right now.
Come to 70 laps to go this next time by. Peyton Holland, after his moment on the back straightaway, has brought the Sabrina Carpenter sponsored machine to the garage area, and you saw moments ago via the replay Matthew Rodriguez in the 5th position. Big wiggle through the center of 1 and 2, hard into the outside wall with the right front. He is currently on pit road making repairs. A driver that was looking to pick up the victory in stage 2 before the fuel ran out coming out of turn number 4. So a number of drivers continuing to struggle here as we get into the latter stages of tonight's race. Again, this all setting up for our final 2 races of the regular season. Next week, the road course at Road America, and then the regular season finale at the High Banks, the wildcard track of Daytona.
What a way to finish out the regular season. Let's shift gears for a moment. Road America, I can't tell you sitting here right now who's going to win that race. We know how wild of a place that facility is. And then to go back to the big house in Daytona, get back to the roots of NASCAR, where if you put a car out there on the racetrack, you got a good of a chance of anybody to put it in victory lane. What that could do to the point standings when all is said and done. So you got to make sure you keep it right here on FRN for all things grind related as it comes down to the boogie here in the next couple of weeks. Trey Whitehead out there drifting these quarters at times. He is up on the wheel right now fighting for his life. But Cogswell doing exactly what he does, being the silent assassin out there on the racetrack. He is not letting him get away. And Cogswell keeps applying the pressure as Jackson, though, continues to close in on this battle.
Yeah, to your point, doing exactly what he needs to do is Cogswell, keeping within striking distance, driving it deep into the corner there, giving Trey Whitehead something else to think about. He's fighting the race car, he's fighting the tires, he's fighting that wall off of turn 2 as he's nearly made contact with it several times. You can see him sawing on the wheel on the exit of the second corner. For Cogswell, it's not a matter of trying to pass Trey Whitehead, it's a matter of trying to intimidate him into a mistake, and if he does, Noah Jackson's going to be right there to capitalize as well. If these three battle, don't even count out Tanner Marr, our Talladega winner. He's keeping these three pretty honest. He's only about a second and 2/10 off the back bumper of this top trio. If all three of them have a moment, he could move on by.
So many different ways to have this race fall into your lap right now. You know, for Trey Whitehead, as you said, he's just got to keep his focus out. And there's a yellow flag. That changes everything. With 135 laps on the board, now we're going to dial this thing back to a snail's pace, re-rack, restack the field, throw everyone on top of each other, and it is going to get wild here in Nashville momentarily. But, you know, that caution changes everything.
This caution should get us the fuel we need to get to the conclusion of this race. It will not account for overtime green-white checkers, but it should get us at least to the end of regulation, as we have commentator Curse Tanner Marr was mentioned having a great run in 4th. Car snaps loose off of 2, down into the grass, and right here as it slides back up the racing surface is what brings out the yellow. And there are a number of drivers that had some issues here that were looking for a yellow flag to catch back up, to your point, that are looking to the heavens saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. Chris Roberge is going to get back in the lead lap with the lucky dog. This will catch Matt Davies back up to the field. Number of drivers that could have been out of it if we had remained under green now have new life.
It's a tale of two stories, right? If you're Trey Whitehead, the 84, the 20, that's the last thing you wanted to see because you knew it was going to come down to, you know, a couple cars going for the lead. Now that completely has changed. You're going to have everyone on the lead lap, all out trench warfare here is Trey Whitehead going to lock it down into his pit box. So is Cogswell. The 20's in for service as well. I assume the call here is going to be 4 tires, 2 cans of Sunoco Racing Fuel, as these cars have been struggling for grip out there. You see the jack going up on the 23 now. The left side's going on. 23 going to be the first to roll here The 20 underway, and what a job getting it done in the trenches by Trey Whitehead. He's going to keep the lead here, or at least win the race off of pit road.
Like
Good
Noah
stuff out of that
Jackson.
camp.
Looks like Noah Jackson's going to come out in second. Jonathan Cogswell, Christian Rue's team with a great pit stop. Going to get him out fourth. And Larry Bell going to be in the fifth position. It will be interesting to see as well. Saw Alan Dobbs, Dalton McKenney had the first and second pit stalls after they were your front row here tonight. They've had their fair share of issues. Does this get them back in to the conversation as Dobbs looks for his 8th win on the season? Dalton looking for his first. We'll have to wait and see here as we'll wait for the lights to go out on the pace car and see exactly officially how many laps we are going to have left. Tomorrow night we cap off our race coverage on the week as we will be at Talladega Super Speedway. No, correction, we're going to be at Burt Screwdriver's Raceway for the first race of the new round. Should have been the round of 8, but it'll be the round of 9. We actually had a tie for the final transfer position in the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. So 9 drivers will make a bid to maybe win their way into the final 4. And that'll be tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on FRN. Be sure to join us for that one as we get ready for the conclusion of tonight's race from Nashville Super Speedway. And it's been a who's who up here at the front, but gotta wonder now how much pressure is Trey Whitehead going to have as he has the 20 machine to his outside. Been one of the strongest cars on the evening. Picked up a stage victory earlier on tonight at the conclusion of stage 1.
That's just it. And don't forget, I mean, that's a teammate out there on the high side of the racetrack, too, on that outside lane. So you have 2 Whitehead Racing entries that are going to be fighting here, battling it out. So 2 Toyotas going to lead the charge here. Then you're going to have the Ford of Cogswell as that green flag rolls back into the air. And I apologize for that. It seems I am behind the times here just a little bit. I'm going to try to correct that.
Great launch there for Trey Whitehead. Jackson will slide into second. Cogswell will move by Christian Ruse for the 3rd position. We had 20 drivers take the green flag here tonight. We currently have 13 of them out on the racetrack, all 13 on the lead lap at this point in time. Matthew Rodriguez still sits on pit road trying to get damage repaired to that good Charlotte Toyota Camry to rejoin the field, as looks like we got things mostly sorted out. Getting a little hairy back here in the latter half of the top 10.
They were just about 3 wide, right around Tanner Marr, not where you want to be on the racetrack. Look at that Toyota putting all kinds of pressure back of that ZL1 Camaro. There's still 2 by Sue. The 25 almost got loose and gave him the business. He's going to slot in line. That Hornet's Nest really building right around that 7th place position as they send it off into the corner.
Kleinsma just up ahead of Tanner Marr, who crosses him over. Look how close that was.
Wow.
Front bumper to back bumper off of turn 4. Remember, this is the driver that spun from the 4th position. Oh, he's loose on the entry to the corner. Nice job gathering it back up through the center of 1 and 2, but big slide for Tanner Marr in that battle for 6th. We are stacked up 3 wide. I think there were 2 formations of 3 wide from the back straightaway entering into turn number 3. They'll get it back to double wide. Maybe a little contact right there between Matt Davies and Tanner Marr. These drivers back here realizing laps are going to tick away quickly now. We've got the fuel to get to the end in regulation. The time to move is now. We can't save any longer.
You can see the urgency is up at its peak out there on the racetrack. It wasn't 1, it was 2 lanes, a 3 wide action right back here around Patrick McQuaid. It looked like the Blue Angels had an air show out there on the racetrack. Then the Davies was up in high fives. The 32 car made contact with the 4. Still hot and heavy, fast and furious back here just outside of the top 10. Everyone still chasing Trey Whitehead as he commands the lead out front, trying to open up about a 6/10 second of advantage over the 20 of Noah Jackson.
Several things working in the favor of Trey Whitehead right now. 1, clean air. 2, fresh tires, putting him a level playing field with everybody else behind him. 3, this ongoing battle for second place. Cogswell able to make the pass on Noah Jackson, who had his hands full last time out of turn number 2. these drivers continue to battle with each other, that's just going to allow Trey Whitehead to put down good, consistent laps and manage, maybe even open up the gap.
That's what he's trying to do right now. He has that race car full-blown afterburner in that 23 machine. He has the benefit of the freshest air to the front of his race car, and he is trying to get out of town, away from the competition. Last time by, I mean, look at the lap times these guys are putting down right now. Some of the fastest laps I think I've seen since I've been up here in the broadcast booth with you. Tanner Marr just had a big-time moment out there on the racetrack. He is lively out there on the radio. Believe he was involved with an incident with the 25 as we still remain under green flag conditions.
Up the track, battling with Matt Davies. That's for the 6th position. Right behind them, Rylan Faccianato, Chris Roberts trying to settle out 8th position. I'm hoping I'm not going to commentator curse these guys, but great runs here in the top 5 for Christian Ruse and Larry Bell, who between the two of them have only 2 finishes inside the podium. For Ruse, it was a runner-up finish in the very beginning portion of the season at Las Vegas. For Larry Bell, it was a podium finish of 3rd at the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway. Both have been able to survive the chaos here tonight. They've been able to keep the cars relatively planted, and right now in line to reap the benefits of really good performances here this evening at Nashville.
As long as they can make it to the scheduled distance. Anything can happen here in the blink of an eye. We know anything and everything can happen until that checkered flag flies. But as it stands right now, I mean, the drivers you just mentioned, they are doing what they need to do. They are getting it done, taking care of business out there on the racetrack. How about the rabid rooster, Christian Ruse? Mr. Where did he come from? No matter what seems to be thrown his way over the course of a race, whether it's getting into an incident, somehow going a lap down, having damage on that race car somehow, some way that was not his fault, he always seems to find a way to get himself back into the thick of it before all is said and done. And here he is quietly just chilling in that 14th place position. Looks like he's trying to take it somewhat conservative right now, trying to save those tires. That may change here in a moment as Larry Bell continues to close in, but a great job nonetheless by the 14 team today, staying in it, keeping the fight going here, and looking for a top 5 or perhaps better here from Nashville.
Christian Ruse with 4 top 5s on the season so far. 12 finishes inside the top 10. That ties him for 4th most here in 2025. He's already pretty much locked in on points. But for talking about a number of these drivers like Ruse, like Cogswell, drivers that are already pretty much locked into a playoff spot on points, how important would it be for these drivers down this home stretch, for Nashville, for Road America next week, Daytona in a couple of weeks, to establish a sense of momentum, get these good consistent finishes going into the playoffs and hope that that momentum continues?
Momentum. And just on that note, caution, and that is going to kill the momentum of everyone out there on the racetrack. As we're going to transition back to the eye-pacing side of things here. Currently working lap 150. But to your point, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just mentioning that's Dalton McKenney that went around there on the back straightaway, bringing out this caution.
Yeah, Dalton McKenney's been having a rough go of it the past couple weeks. He's been involved in a lot of the shenanigans out there on the racetrack, and there's a guy that's just looking for a clean race, trying to put together a couple just to kind of get his, his bearing back straight, if you ask me. But to your point about momentum, as a driver, momentum is everything. You can kick off the season at Daytona, you can win that race, and I swear the high of that win will carry you half of the season. But like anything, like a bottle of nitrous oxide, eventually it's going to wear out. And when you don't have any nitrous in that tank, I don't care how much octane you have in that fuel inside that race car, you need that little extra oomph at times, and there's no way to reignite that fire than a win before you start the playoffs. And we've seen that in the sim world and in real life as well, as pit road becomes the hottest spot in the building once again.
Yeah, everybody is down pit road here, and this could be a twofold pit stop. First off, we ran about 12 green flag laps. Everybody still has a set of tires available, so why not come down and use them? Also, coming down, getting a little bit of extra fuel just in case we end up having this race go outside of regulation and into overtime green-white checkers. It looks like a few drivers might have gone with fuel only. That was actually the call on the 20 of Noah Jackson. Roberge elected to stay out. I believe Larry Bell went with fuel only. The majority of the other drivers elected to take on 4 fresh Goodyears.
A lot of different strategies, a lot of different gameplay here on this pit stop. Very critical at this moment of the race. Currently working lap 152 on the board. Let's talk about Chris Roberge. I mean, this is a driver here that makes a living out of starting in the rear with the gear and somehow, oftentimes than not, coming out with the top 5 and top 10. In fact, I think he has the most grinder of the race awards than any other driver this season. I'm not shocked to see that strategy play there out of the 9 camp. The question is now, can he maintain the lead? He's got Trey Whitehead behind him. We know how bad fast he is. And then, the 20 now has surpassed Trey Whitehead. So you're going to have 2 Whitehead racing entries behind you, chomping at the bit. This is going to be a tall task here for Christopher Roberge on worn-out Dr. Feelgoods on this restart. Let's see how he's...
Your entire front row going to be restarting on old tires, as it was fuel only for Noah Jackson, so a lot of the pressure is going to be on that second row. Trey Whitehead and Jonathan Cogswell, how good of a restart can you get, and do you have potentially a lane to get around the 2 drivers on older tires in front of you? They're going to be the second row. You got Larry Bell and Christian Ruse in row 3. Rylan Facinato, Tanner Marr, Jeffrey Kleinsma, and Matt Davies going to be the completion of the top 10. We had no need for a lucky dog. Our only lap down car still sits on pit road getting repairs. So 13 drivers still running, all 13 on the lead lap, as this restart's going to be with less than 50 laps to go.
Into the Geico restart zone. 2x2, side by side. Green flag in the air, loud under the loud pedal, and those glorious V8s come roaring back to life here in Nashville as it's a side by side, door to door drag race into the turns 1 and 2 complex. Pick your poison between the 20 or the 9. The Camaro's going to own the top side, but here comes that TRD machine. It's going to try to surge ahead. The 9's going to try to cross them over back into 1 and 2. It is getting good in the neighborhood at the front of this thing.
See how much grip that 9's going to have. We saw him spin out from the lead on 43 lap old tires, only 17 laps, about 15 green flag circuits on those Goodyears this time, as he will keep Noah Jackson honest. Trey Whitehead trying to figure out which lane is going to move. Where is there going to be a clear path to try and get to the front, as teammate Noah Jackson gets loose in front of him, gets Roberge in the 9, who's going to be slow in the middle of the pack, collects Matt Davies. Caution's going to fly for the 12th time tonight.
And it went from glory to heartbreak in the blink of an eye for the 9. As moments ago, he was duking it out for the lead, and instantly, like a lightning bolt, that car gets razzle-dazzled, takes a shot to the face from a car deeper in the field, and now it has to sit there with his race literally blown up in front of him in the blink of an eye. Heartbreak for Chris Roberge. I can't believe what we just witnessed there. A byproduct of a restart and hard racing late in these things. We've seen it time and time again. But I am gut-wrenched right now for the 9. I cannot believe that.
Big wiggle for Noah Jackson on the top side, sends him down into the right rear quarter panel of Chris Roberge, and then a big hit from Matt Davies finishes the job off. Here's a look from the aerial view. Watch the car on the top side there, that black number 20, right there you see him get loose as he's trying to gather it up, unfortunately down into the path of Chris Roberge, and there's the shot from the 32 of Matt Davies, who's another driver that was having a great run tonight. That's a lot of damage on that left front he's going to have to get repaired and have to deal with for the remainder of the night.
That 32 was World War II style kamikaze, just right into the heart of the side of that race car. I mean, that was a lick administered to the 9. Both those cars sustaining heavy damage as Roberge is having a hard time getting that 9 ride in his pit stall, or excuse me, his pit box. And yet again, cautions breed cautions. What is this going to do now to the face of this race moving forward? We already seen what these drivers are willing to risk. Do we see this intensity keep up, or do these drivers try to dial it back a little bit? Because we still have a handful of laps we got to run in this thing. We're only currently at lap 157. The scheduled distance here is 200, and then we have overtime should we need it.
Well, a number of drivers taking the opportunity here under this most recent yellow to come down, get some damage repaired, some from the incident that just occurred, others that have been involved in incidents previously here tonight. Alan Dobbs, Dalton McKenney, got Chris Roberge and Matt Davies from that incident on pit road, same for Noah Jackson. So just trying to get these cars as close to 100% as possible. As we mentioned the word survival coming into tonight, it has certainly been a survival fest for a number of drivers, and it looks like the survival will come to a close for Chris Roberge. His night is over, and he's going to join the ever-growing list of those that are not going to reach the conclusion. Peyton Holland, Kyle Wellman, Brandon Cooper, Clifford Corveau, Brock Whitehead, and Mark Gonzalez all officially done for the night as well, leaving us with 12 drivers still to soldier on. 11 of them on the racetrack. We're still waiting for the repairs to conclude on the 32 of Matt Davies.
The complexion of this race has changed so much just in the matter of minutes since I've been up here in the broadcast booth with you. Wanted to take a moment to thank you for allowing me to be up here. I had no idea Scott needed some help. He sent me a message. I'm not on my broadcast computer, no SDK. We're doing this old school, but I'm having the time of my life up here with you. Thank you so much for the opportunity as these cars gets racked and stacked, ready to rock and roll here one more time. We're going to go green flag racing next time, but
Absolutely glad to have you. Our best wishes go to Scott, who's been injured and was not feeling the greatest, had to take a bit of a break here halfway through. He's also been working on race control during the course of this here this evening. How about this for a narrative, though? Your top 8, between all of them, 0 wins this season. We could be having the odds in favor of a first-time winner here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway with the playoffs looming.
with the playoffs looming, Trey Whitehead continues to turn and burn in that Camry. Hot on his heels, Cogswell picking right back up where Lee left off. How about the man with the plan, Larry Bell, started in that 13th place position. He is now in the money, inside of the top 3. Where did he come from? This 43, I'm telling you, he's like the Kevin Harvick of old. Somehow, some way, he finds himself in these things, and Larry Bell doing Larry Bell things. Oh, it's the 14. Just thought about taking a peek inside and thought better of it. Bruce is going to put it back up in line.
Battle on side by side here for the 7th position. That is Alan Dobbs, who started this race from the pole. Got involved in an incident after contact with Noah Jackson at the close of stage 1, trying to work his way forward. He's been dealing with a damaged race car for pretty much 2/3 of this race, but trying to get what he can, trying to maybe get up there inside of the top 5 and salvage a decent finish here in the close of this one. Still mired side by side with Patrick McQuaid and Rylan Faccianato, a little slow in front of the both of them off of 2.
Lightning McQuaid in the 77 tried to get fired up here late in this one. It's hot and heavy right around him where he currently runs on the racetrack. And again, it seems to be that's right where the hornet's nest is, right where you don't want to be, is right around Patrick McQuaid, Alan Dobbs. And let's stop right there. Alan Dobbs, and you brought this up earlier. This guy is on a hot streak like I have never seen before. He's had some bad things happen to him this race. It has been very challenging. It's been an uphill climb, but yet here he is on the lead lap in that 7th place position. If there's a driver you don't want to feel like they can go out there and win this race to get some confidence back, it's the 35 ride, and I'm not counting him out just yet.
Big slide for Jeffrey Kleinsma off of turn 2, gathers it back up. We stay green. He'll go back to the 11th position, and he'll hope for a caution to catch back up. But if we don't see that yellow flag, the previous caution, I believe, got us to where these drivers now can make it on fuel in regulation. maybe have enough fuel in the tank for one overtime green-white checker, but the big question, you alluded to it, we've got 3 green-white checkers at our disposal should we need them. With these cautions, have we saved enough to get to that maximum 3rd green-white checkered, or could we still find ourselves short if we go into multiple overtimes? That'll be the big question as Larry Bell with a big slide off of turn 2, gathers it back up, but he'll drop from 3rd now back to 5th.
Larry Bell doing the cha-cha slide off of the turns 3 and 4 complex. But to answer your question, in the words of Michael Bolton, I believe these drivers can go the distance. Overtime, that's a different story, but I believe they have enough juice in the tank to get them home with the cautions that we've had. And you can tell by the way Whitehead and company's running out here. In fact, Cogswell, I mean, he has really kicked up the pace, especially over these last 5 laps. These drivers are attacking now like they feel they have enough Sunoco 93 in the tank to make it the rest of the way here in Nashville.
Some great saves here tonight as we've documented. You saw the big slide for Jeffrey Kleinsma off of 2, most recently off of 4, Rylan Faccianato as he drifts back to 7th place, but drivers have been battling the track, they've been battling the race cars, and oh yeah, by the way, they've been having to battle each other here tonight. 35 laps remain as they hit the back straightaway. To your point, Cogswell continues to keep the pressure on Trey Whitehead. Is this more so the 27 maybe being a little bit better, or is this the 23 holding back to have something to battle with should Cogswell get to his side?
I think you're seeing 2 veterans playing the mental chess game with one another right now. I don't think we're seeing the best of the 23. And on the other side of the spectrum, Cogswell's not showing his hand either. He's running just hard enough to keep Trey Whitehead focused on that rear view mirror. I mean that's a veteran move if I've ever seen one on the racetrack. However, Trey Whitehead knows, hey, I'm not going to go out there and run qualifying laps. We know what the tire wear is like out there on the racetrack. This track has taken out a lot of rubber. We've seen these drivers burn that right rear off the race car. I think this is 2 veteran drivers out there playing a little cat and mouse game with each other, and we'll find out the answer to that question with about 7 to 10 laps to go when they really just go full send out there on the racetrack. But Tanner Marr, I mean, he continues to not let these guys get away either. I mean, he's keeping Cogswell in check as well.
He's running some of the fastest lap times of the top 3 right now. To your point, he is only 3.5 car lengths off the back of Cogswell. He was only 0.8 of a second off of the race leader this last time by, so do not count him out. Got a victory earlier on this season at Talladega. Does not meet the minimum amount of starts required for that to count towards a playoff spot, so the pressure is off in terms of preparation for the postseason. He can go out here and try and see if he can join drivers like Alan Dobbs, Mark Gonzalez, Brandon Cooper as a multi-time winner here in 2025.
And that would be the top priority on my list. I want to put my name in the ranks of those drivers you just mentioned. If I don't have to worry about running for a championship, I'm going to take every single Wednesday night as an opportunity to go out there and mark my name on that trophy and etch it in EOL history every time I had the chance to do that. When you're running for a championship, the logic, the way that you attack these races is completely different. And when the pressure comes off of these drivers, that's typically when they're at their best.
Nashville Super Speedway in the Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. Known for all sorts of music, but maybe mostly well known for country. And you've got Morgan Wallen featured on that number 23 of Trey Whitehead. Would love to park that music-themed Toyota Camry in victory lane here tonight. He's not been without adversity. We saw him around the back straightaway, had a little contact on the front end of the nose, but after he's been able to get that thing back in clean air, he's been able to set sail, open up a bit of distance back to the 27 of Jonathan Cogswell. We'll see if Cogswell's got the long run pace here with less than 30 to go to reel him back in, and Tanner Marr still continuing to put down lap times that equal, if not better by maybe a few hundredths, the race leader Trey Whitehead, still very much in this conversation.
It's okay to 3-way from a manufacturer standpoint at the front of this thing. Toyota leads the way Then you got the blue oval there in that second place position and the bow tie and rounding out your top three. From that standpoint, that's how the guys at the top of the spectrum on the manufacturing side want to see these races run. Outside of that, Tanner Marr just went up there and high-fived the barrier. A little bit of self-inflicted concrete poisoning there for that Camaro. That's not what you want to do in this race car. Getting back to what you were saying, though, how do you really answer that question? Just think about where we're currently at in this race. 174 laps on the board. We're starting to get down now to that time when those gloves come off. If I had to pick one based upon what I've seen all season long from these drivers, if there's one driver that is poised to win a race that has not won a race yet this year, it's the guy that has more second-place finishes than anybody in that dark horse. Does he have the force to overcome that Toyota? I think he does. Or is Trey Whitehead going to be the mastermind and outsmart the cunning shenanigans of the 27, or does Tanner Marr, throw his hat into the ring? Do we see a caution? That can change things. There's so many different potential outcomes right now, but as it stands, Trey Whitehead probably has the best shot as of now, as he has the clean air and about a half a second advantage over the 27 of Cogswell.
I'll tell you what, if a caution came out right now, it would make things very interesting, as we've gone about 24 laps on this run, about 25 laps to go. I think you'd probably see everybody come to pit road, but there might be some gamblers that would elect the track position over the tires. And you brought up a great point there of the manufacturer distribution here inside of the podium. Toyota, Ford, and Chevrolet. So far, the Toyotas have been on the hot streak as they currently hold the last 3 victories here this season. You got to go all the way back to the middle of June before the last Chevrolet victory. That was Alan Dobbs back when he was driving for the Chevrolet team. You got to go all the way back to the season opener. The only victory the Blue Ovals have been able to get this season was all the way back at Daytona with Chris Reese. Big opportunity here for Jonathan Cogswell to get a dark horse Mustang back in victory lane.
To bring up Daytona, didn't you? You had to do it to me. I was the guy pushing Chris Reese that race, and I blew that engine sky high coming into the tri-oval, and I still haven't gotten over it.
It just had a little further to go.
Real quick, while they're out there turning some laps on the racetrack, I lifted that race at 293 degrees, probably 75 times that race pushing hard. I lifted the same way I did it every other lap, and for some inexplicable reason, it decided it wanted to let go, and my dreams of winning crumbled in the blink of an eye, and it still hurts all these months later. So you bet when we get back to Daytona, I'm going to be looking for redemption as Trey Whitehead's looking for victory lane as he continues to stretch it out just a little bit. Now, about almost 0.6 of a second between the 23 of Whitehead and the 27 of Jonathan Cogswell, and I'm not sure if Alan Dobbs knows what we're talking about or haven't been talking about him, but don't look now, but that 35 has now cracked the top 5.
Yeah, we saw him moments ago get by Christian Ruse. He's brought Noah Jackson along with him up to 5th and 6th for those two drivers. The problem for the two of them right now is their lap times are just a little bit off of the top 3. They also have about 4 seconds they'd have to make up here, but we talk about the timing of yellows. If we got one and they could get a little bit more damage repaired, look out. Both those drivers still could be in the conversation for this, but the long run speed appears to be in the camp of the 23 as he's now got over 0.6 of a second back to Jonathan Cogswell, 1.3 seconds back to Tanner Marr, who may have used up a lot of his stuff trying to reel in the top 2. Looking right now consistently in the high 30.8s to low 30.9s for Trey Whitehead. Cogswell and Marr have now ventured into the mid to high 9s.
That just shows you there what the tire fall off is like out there on the racetrack. That track temperature still, it's awful hot out there. Over the century mark, 101 degrees out there on that racing surface. Remember, this is an asphalt. We're on the concrete, and that's going to change the characteristics of how these tires hook up and make their grip out there. And you can see that some of these drivers just haven't mastered a little bit better than the others. The 4 clearly fighting a tight race car right now. I believe he has cooked the right front off of it, as you were alluding to just moments ago. Unable to get that car down to the bottom of the racetrack. He is searching, trying to find a high lane right now, trying to find a way to get some pace back in the 4.
We're gonna have to see how much pace Trey Whitehead has here coming to the close, because on the last few long green flag runs when he's been the leader, he has gotten to a point where he really struggles for turnability, specifically off of turn number 2. And that's when Cogswell has been able to capitalize. When we get to the end of this race, if it finishes under regulation, we're going to be nearing 50 laps on these Goodyears. We'll see if Trey Whitehead has preserved enough rubber underneath him to be able to hold Cogswell off. We've got less than 20 laps to go. We'll be at 15 to go pretty shortly here. And if you're Trey Whitehead, how painstakingly agonizing are these laps here as you are just waiting to come off of turn 4 and look up and see that white flag displayed?
Feels like an eternity. Years go by, days turn into nights when you're in this position. It's almost as if time stands still. On the other side of the spectrum, if you're Jonathan Cogswell, it feels like time is going by at warp speed. You want more time, more laps on the pylon to go out there and try to get the job done for your manufacturer, your sponsor, and your team. It's crazy how the roles flip-flop and the mental side of things just changes between a position on the racetrack, but that's just how it is. Trey Whitehead right now, he is feeling it. He is stressing right now, but I can promise you his teammates in that chat, remember, Alan Dobbs now on that team, a driver that's been to victory lane more than anybody, and I can promise you he is coaching him right now, just telling him, hey, hit your marks, forget about that rear view mirror. In fact, hey, grab it, take it, throw it out the window. You don't need it. Let the spotter do his job, you do your job, and if we got to make a change, we'll let you know about it. Trying to keep his driver calm, cool, and collected as we work lap 187 out of the scheduled 200 here from Nashville.
If you're throwing that rear view mirror out the window, make sure you throw it way away from the track surface, because you don't want a debris caution to bring everybody back to your bumper here as we're on board with Trey Whitehead. See a little bit of counter steer off the corner, but these last couple of laps he's looked really smooth, not really been sliding that right rear tire, just making sure, as you said, hitting his marks, making sure that he battles the car, battles the racetrack, doesn't make a mistake, because we've seen one big slide can be the difference of multiple car lengths, and he wants to manage that gap back to the 27.
Yeah, you start doing the cha-cha slide out there. I mean, that since the update, this tire does not recover like the old tire does. I mean, you pay a hefty penalty. It does not want to cool down. It does not seem to recover. And you're absolutely right. The last thing Trey Whitehead wants to do is get too greedy on corner entry or try to be too aggressive with the loud pedal on corner exit. Just be nice and smooth. Be methodical. Be one with the race car and get that thing to victory lane. As Cogswell is starting to fall back just a little bit. Perhaps that Mustang has pushed it a little too hard. Now almost 7/10 of a second between the Camry of Whitehead to the dark horse of the 27 piloted by Cogswell.
Couple of mistakes there through 3 and 4 as he sent it in. You could hear that right front tire squealing as it pushed up the racetrack, and then back end got loose as he had to counter steer it off of turn number 4. What was down to nearly about 5.5 tenths of a second has opened up to nearly 7 tenths with that mistake alone. Cogswell is running out of time as they come around to 10 laps to go here at Nashville Superspeedway.
10 laps to go here from Music City, and Trey Whitehead has his sights set on victory lane. Or will one of these other drivers play spoiler like Larry Bell, who is now up to 3rd place? Alan Dobbs, your number 1 seed coming into this race, speaking about the playoffs, currently has had a catastrophic opening, or at least the opening laps of this race was not to his liking before I got up here in the booth. Damage on the race car, got a couple laps down from what I'm told. However, he has fought back, currently on the lead lap and in that 4th place position. However, he is over 5 seconds off the pace with a wounded vehicle. That has opened up the opportunity for some of these drivers that have not had a chance yet to win a race to go out there and have their time to shine. And Trey Whitehead is trying to capitalize on it right now. Started in that 7th place position, currently has the dial set to kill, and he is going as hard as he can right now to get to that checkered flag. Another lap comes off the board, now working lap 193 here at Nashville.
Jonathan Cogswell continues to make mistakes. Saw him moments ago have a slide off of 4 that has compounded the gap between himself and Trey Whitehead. Now over a full second the distance, as Noah Jackson was taking the 4th position away from Alan Dobbs. Got loose off of turn 2. Now Faccianato goes around the outside of him. Here comes Christian Ruse. This 4-way battle from 4th back to 7th continues in the closing stages of this one. Also problems for Tanner Marr late, as about 6 laps ago he brought his car to pit road. Whatever the incident was, it did not bring out a yellow, and that's what Trey Whitehead wants to see. He wants this racetrack to remain clean and green as he ticks away down to that crucial white flag lap. Gonna be 6 to go this time by for driver 23.
The last thing he wants to see, though, is Christian Ruse in the 20 and Noah Jackson going at it. These two guys have a history, not necessarily of playing whack-a-mole with one each other, but just causing yellow flags out there on the racetrack at times, self-spins. Some other things have happened over the course of this year. Look at how aggressive the 14 of Ruse is on that center of the corner, packing all that air on the 20. I can promise you Dobbs is not telling Trey Whitehead right now that Ruse and the 20 are fighting out of the racetrack, as we are just less than 5 laps to go in this one.
It's going to be a great points night for Rylan Faccianato. Came into this race right around that cut line. Needed points this evening. Got some stage points. He's currently in position to get a top 5. Exactly what he needs going into a couple of wild card races at Road America next week and Daytona for the regular season finale. As Trey Whitehead, I've been keeping an eye, maybe finding something again, is Jonathan Cogswell. He's eaten into that lead, not by much. It's been hundredths of a second every single lap. He's cut it down to about 9.5 tenths. He's going to need a lot more time, or maybe one major mistake from Trey Whitehead to get back into this thing, but he's still got 3.5 laps to work with.
3.5 laps to work with to try to find the sauce, the solution to get up there and challenge the 23 for this win. Whitehead just continuing to trying to be smooth out there, race the racetrack, don't get caught up racing yourself, as we now work lap 197. Next time by, popsicle sticks will go up in the air. Can Trey Whitehead close it out here, or does Cogswell got some magic left in him?
Let's see if Trey Whitehead runs the top line through 3 and 4 again. That was a little strange. He was almost up with those right sides into the marbles. Gonna now put it right back down the bottom. I'm almost wondering if maybe Cogswell was trying that upper groove. Whitehead saw it and went up there to put some dirty air on the nose. Keep that gap maintained. 2 laps to go. A little under 2.5 miles gonna remain here for Trey Whitehead. Gap closes up a little bit more, but still a manageable 8 tenths.
8 tenths. It is all lean, mean, and green for the 23 camp as he continues to set sail here from the Music City into the turns 3 and 4 complex once again for the final time this evening. He's going to send it in through the middle, high arc off the corner, and coming off to the start-finish line, it's going to be Trey Whitehead that gets it done here. He's going to get the guitar and put together a win for Whitehead Racing. What a drive, what performance out of that 23 machine, and unfortunately, another second place heartbreak for Jonathan Cogswell.
Trey Whitehead, 3rd in points coming into this season, had that looming 0 in the win column. Morgan Wallen's got a famous song called Our Town. Tonight, Trey Whitehead says, Nashville is my town. His first victory of 2025. He'll put that Camry in victory lane for the first time this season. He was already locked in on points, but now you give this guy momentum with a victory here in the close of the regular season, and the playoffs looming. Could be very dangerous, and his night was not without adversity as well. Had to overcome some early damage, but as soon as he got back out there in clean air, he was the one that set the pace, and nobody was able to match him.
Dobbs comes up and dabs up his boy there, congratulating Whitehead on getting it done. And, you mentioned, this place being Whitehead's town. His favorite band in grade school was O-Town. Don't tell him I told you I said that, as he burns it down. They're kind of like the generic version of NSYNC, for example. Is that 23 now is going to get the rest of the good. And why not? He deserves it. Trey Whitehead lit up, and he is getting the good out of that race car at the start-finish line.
He's been close so many times this season. Finally breaks into victory lane. Coming off that runner-up finish last week at Indianapolis. One position better this evening. And he is a winner in 2025 for the Grind Cup Series.
You know, I remember when I was still on DJ's team before I came over to the Ubka Motorsports, when Trey Whitehead came out of retirement, the very first thing I said to him, and you can check me on this when we interview him, I told him he will win in this series. He didn't think he was going to make the playoffs, and I told him, Trey, come on, are you nuts? Have you forgot who you were? I knew this guy was going to win a race. It was only a matter of time, and Trey Whitehead is back. And at what point in time of the season to do it? Right when, as you mentioned earlier, getting ready to really hunker down for a playoff push. And he is still celebrating out there. You can tell he is fired up right now.
Yeah, this may be a pretty lengthy celebration here as he burned out from the start-finish line all the way back nearly to pit road entry. He'll park it right on that guitar fret at the bottom of the start-finish line here in the front straightaway, right adjacent with the flag stand, and the celebration will begin on the front stretch for driver 23. Here's a look at how they all crossed the line. Whitehead picking up his first win of the season. Jonathan Cogswell, a bridesmaid once again, but some great points for him as he continues to solidify himself a spot in the postseason via points. Alan Dobbs, what a comeback run for him after dealing with damage for a majority of this race. Brings it home on the podium after he was able to snipe Larry Bell for the third spot. Larry will bring it home with a solid run of fourth, and Noah Jackson will round out the top five. Rylan Faccianato, great run, great points in sixth. Patrick McQuaid, another top 10 netted as the 77 brings it home in seventh place. Jeffrey Kleinsma, quiet all day, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Survived to bring it home in the top 10 in eighth. Dalton McKenney will finish out the evening in ninth, and Christian Ruse is going to complete the top 10. That was the last driver to finish this race on the lead lap. I believe the last driver to finish this race under power. The rest of these drivers finished either on pit road or in the garage. Tanner Marr, Matt Davies, Chris Roberge, Matthew Rodriguez, Peyton Holland, your top 15. Kyle Wellman, who had a strong car tonight, finishes 16th. Brandon Cooper in 17th. Clifford Corveau, Brock Whitehead, Mark Gonzalez going to be your 20 drivers that finish out this evening's race. A lot of those drivers that finished back in the garage area, a lot of them were running up inside of the top five, some of them inside of the top three when their issues occurred. That's just some of the facets of what these drivers had to deal with here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway.
We now get ready to switch gears to driver interviews post-race. And my God, let's just step back and think about what we just witnessed here, at least from the time I joined you up in the broadcast booth. When I jumped up here, I got in the back door. Kyle Wellman was looking like he potentially could throw a monkey wrench into some of these regulars' plans and come away with the win. And boy, did the winds of change blow and completely change the mechanics of this race and the cautions, everything that got thrown out there to try to dethrone Trey Whitehead. He was able to adapt and overcome, punch his ticket into victory lane. And we really got a chance to see what type of guts was inside that cockpit of the 23. And I'm worried because I know what happens when Trey Whitehead gets on a hot streak. I've seen that before. And this could get really good down the stretch between Dobbs and Whitehead. You know, how they're both on the same team, though. So that's going to make it even more interesting, in my opinion. But nonetheless, let's start talking to some of these drivers. I'm just as pumped up as he is.
Absolutely. About a half dozen drivers looked like they could have been poised to win this race here tonight at certain points of the event, including the driver that started from the pole. Let's see if we can dial up our third place finisher, Alan Dobbs. Hey, Alan, it's Matt and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, man.
Well, man, grinding it out here tonight. Had that damage at the close of stage 1. You were back outside the top 15, then outside of the top 10. Fight your way up eventually into the top 5. You bring this thing home on the podium position. It seemed like the moniker of the night for this 35 car was fight, fight, fight. I don't think Metallica has a song like that, but maybe they should.
Yeah, I don't know. They might have some lyrics in one of their songs that represents what I went through tonight. We had like 7 minutes and 20 seconds of damage on that incident, and spent literally the entire race fixing it. Still had 25 seconds of damage left. If we had one more caution, I might have been able to be up there battling for the win. But I'm definitely stoked to come away with a P3 after all that.
And Matt up in the booth, you know me, obviously down there as a competitor tonight, but hey, I got to fill in up here for Scott. What an opportunity. And you know, Metallica had a song that came out in 1997 after a long hiatus. It was called Fuel. And that's exactly what you had to have, a lot of mental fuel to fight through the adversity out there on the racetrack. I mean, let's think about what you just did. I mean, typically we're used to you just coming out here and wiping the field up. I mean, let's just be honest. You're on a tear right now. But tonight, the winds have changed, kind of threw a monkey wrench at you. You got behind the 8 ball, had to work on your car a lot. And yet here you are on the podium with a race car that's probably good for the scrapyard. I mean, that is impressive. Heck of a drive from you this evening, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I think that is a pretty good song representation there. Yeah, I don't know how I managed P3. I guess the car, they fixed it just good enough for me to be able to run relatively good laps. So shout out to the crewmates. You
at least going to buy Larry Bell some ice cream before he gets out of here?
Hey, if he's still in the infield, we'll go. We'll go do that. He didn't take me out this time. Last time I tried to pass him, he didn't like that. So that was different. I like that.
10-4, brother. Heck of a run. Good job, man.
Thanks.
Well, Alan, obviously, as Matt alluded to, you've been on an incredible run here down the home stretch of this regular season, and I think that a statement run here tonight with all the damage you had to deal with, the traffic you had to make your way through to bring it home on the podium, this is a statement right here, aside from all the checkered flags you've got, kind of saying, hey, this is the car to beat. Even when I'm down, I'm not going to give up fighting, and I'm going to bring it home with the best points possible here with the playoffs looming in a few weeks' time. Congratulations on the great run here tonight. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, just shout out to my beautiful wife, as always. All the guys at Whitehead Racing, admins, you guys for the broadcast. Everybody that came out. Kind of had a small field tonight. That was a little disappointing, but some decent racing out there between the cautions.
Alan Dobbs with the 3rd place finish here tonight. Another solid podium run for him. Maybe had to grind this one out a lot tougher than some of the ones he's had here in the last couple of weeks, but another solid outing for this 35 car nonetheless. Congratulations on the great performance. 2 tough tracks coming up here in the final few races of the regular season with Road America next week. Best of luck there.
Thanks, man. Y'all have a good night.
See if we can now get a hold of the driver that brings it home in the 2nd position. Let's dial up Jonathan Cogswell. Hey, Jonathan, Matt and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, how you doing?
Man, I'll tell you what. It's got to be tough when you're the driver trying to chase down the car in front of you here, slipping and sliding around, trying not to make a mistake. We were told that dirty air came into play here tonight. Several times we saw you be able to reel the 23 in, but did you maybe just like hit a wall of air? Was there something that once you got to a certain distance from him, just couldn't seem to be able to close up any further?
Yeah, it seemed like try to catch him and I get closer, but then my tires would be a little too hot and then it'd slip and then he'd jump back out, and it just did that over and over.
Hey, Jonathan, it's your old teammate up here in the booth, man, and you know who this is, Matt Metler. And I was telling my broadcast partner, well, actually, I'm his partner tonight, but anyhow, how you actually coached me to my first win. You told me that night, go out there, don't hit anything, keep it on the racetrack, and just see where you might end up. And that was victory lane. And I was hoping I was going to be able to be up here and watch you punch through tonight and get to victory lane. However, Trey Whitehead had other plans, but man, you were resilient out there. What do you think the difference was between yourself and the 23? As you mentioned, you would start to generate some momentum, and it seemed like you get to around 0.3 of a second. And it was like the race car hit like an invisible force field. It just stopped. You could not get that last couple tenths you needed to really challenge. Was it really just the dirty air that was really affecting the balance of your car that much where you just couldn't get up there and challenge like you wanted? Or was it a combination of that and entire fall off?
I think part of it is just his skills, really. And, I was doing everything I could, but I don't think it was really dirty air because I wasn't getting close enough to get into the dirty air.
Well, nonetheless, man, number one driver in the league for second place finishes. I know one of these wins will be coming for you sooner than later. I firmly believe that in my heart. What a job out there on the racetrack. Way to fight, way to not give up and be resilient. Before we cut you loose, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the Ford? The floor is yours.
I just want to say, I looked at all the people around me, and I'm surrounded by winners, and I thought, well, I should have accidentally won by now. So I made up my mind I was going to make no mistakes in the pit this week, because I've been making a lot. And then I put my head down and really tried hard, and it really paid off tonight. And thank you for broadcasters and everyone I raced with. It's really a great time. It's a great hobby.
Well, he kept the car clean here this evening. He brings it home in the second position. Jonathan Cogswell with a solid outing this evening at Nashville Super Speedway. Congratulations on the great run. Some good points. You solidify yourself a spot in the playoffs through points, and some good momentum here as well going into a couple of tough tracks to close out the regular season.
And I won my first stage, so I won something.
There you go. Jonathan Cogswell, a lot of momentum going into Road America next week as he brings it home in the runner-up position. Let's see if we can now go down to victory lane and dial up a brand new winner here in 2025, Trey Whitehead. Hey Trey, it's Matt and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hear the breathing of relief there, the exhilaration, the elation. There's probably a number of other adjectives, but I think if we took this entire race, summed it up into one word, that word would have to be finally. You've been so close so many times. The consistency has been undeniable. Clean air, as soon as you got it, you were not giving this top position back. Describe that, because you had to play defense quite a bit here on these last couple of runs with the 27 breathing down your neck.
Yeah, Jonathan put a hell of a fight up, putting a lot of pressure on me. I mean, I was by no means going 110%, but if I put a foot wrong at all, he was on me, and I just had to be, I had to be perfect, and built a little bit of a gap, and then I'd get loose, and then I'd see him gain 2/10 back, and then I would do something that I'd pull back away, and then I'd miss the bottom in 3 and 4, and he'd pull right back in. So it was by no means easy, even though I had some luck come my way, and whenever the two guys in front of me wrecked, and I inherited the lead. So, yeah, just a lot of pressure from Jonathan. He's a really good racer, and it was a lot of fun racing against him tonight. We went back and forth there for a little bit before that last run. So, yeah, just finally glad to be able to get it done, and what a sigh of relief. I felt like Chase Elliott in real life finally getting his win in Atlanta, even though he's been really consistent all season and high up in the points on just points. But finally getting the win actually does a lot for you. So.
Well, when we pulled you in mid-race, you had just been involved in an incident. I don't know if there's anything in it, but you had a little bit of damage, a little bit of a dent in the middle portion of your nose. Your teammate Noah Jackson back at Michigan had similar damage, and he went on to win that race. So I don't know if there's something in it of maybe having a little bit of luck if you get damage around that Camry logo, but you got that pretty well repaired. Did that in any way affect the race car for the remainder of the race, or did clean air just make all the difference?
Honestly, I didn't get a chance to run on the car with damage. I would just come in right after I wrecked and fix it. So, no, I don't think it really affected the car at all. And honestly, I think with the way the car was really loose, I think having a little bit of dirty air at the beginning of a run helped you wear that right front out a little more and be not so loose on the on the back end. Now, I can't tell you what I did right on the last 40 lap run because I was loose after about 20, 25 laps the entire race, and I somehow was able to go 40 laps without getting really loose and spinning myself out. So clean air definitely, I think, helped a lot with that, and just being able to manage the gap and not have to try to push and pass people because it was kind of a difficult place to pass as well. I found some success going on the outside of a few guys, but just building the runs and everything would just wear that right rear tire out, and you'd be screwed on the long run. So having that clean air with the fresh tires definitely helped a ton, and yeah, I mean it was wild. So I just really grateful to be able to get it done. So
Hey, Trey Whitehead, your old teammate, Whitehead Racing, and I guess you could say DDR up here in the booth. The last guy you want to see in your rearview mirror, Matt Metler. And I want to go back. Let's hit the flux capacitor for a moment. So we go back to April. That point in time, you're not really racing, if I can recall, not in EOL for the first time in as long as I can remember. One of the first conversations I had with you, and you were even thinking about coming back doing this, was just putting pressure on yourself. You weren't even assigned a card number, and yet when we would talk, you were so concerned about making the playoffs. Can I do it? Do I have enough time? Can I get a win? And if you remember what I told you the first time I spoke to you, I said, Trey, you will go out there, you will make the playoffs, and you will get a win, if not multiple wins, before the season ends. And I'm glad that was able to happen here tonight at Nashville, because I know how tough and how hard you work at this and how much it means to you to go out there and carry your team now. I mean, hey, it's Whitehead Racing after all, to go out there and be that pioneer, to set the example and punch through to victory lane. What a job by you this evening. I mean, that battle between yourself and Cogswell. What is it like when you're in your position, when you know you have a driver that's very capable of winning, a veteran of iRacing, just a couple car lengths back from you at times? What is the discipline like to not rear view mirror drive and just do what you need to do, stay focused, and keep that head out the window?
I think that's something that is very valuable to be able to not do. Is look in the mirror or think about all these little things. And I mean, I'm sitting there. It feels like I'm just going through the motions. At 25 to go, I look down, and then all of a sudden I'm noticing, okay, I got to make sure I don't downshift here instead of upshift and stuff like that. So that stuff starts creeping in once Cogswell starts breathing down your neck like that. So I told him, I was like, I by no means, like I said, was I going 110%, but I had to go 99 and not put a foot wrong, and luckily we were able to do that. I did get loose a few times and I thought it was over, but we were able to right the ship and keep it going. So I mean, he put a ton of pressure on me, and it takes a lot of discipline, and I've been doing this for quite a while now. Time flies by. I started during COVID, so just glad to be able to be back and be running my team again as well. The whole unfortunate deal with DJ and the team falling apart, and then me picking up the slack and bringing Allen on. That was a big deal. And almost had the win last week in Indianapolis. I'm beating myself up over if that would have went green, if I could have had Scott and Allen and all that. And just such a, you could say I was locked in on points, but a win, really helps a lot with your confidence. So just, I was glad I was able to get it done tonight, and hopefully we can keep it going forward.
Final question, and I'll turn it over to you for, sponsor shout-outs and thank yous. You said right there, but a win. I know win is only a 3-letter word, but what does it mean to have a win before you go into the playoffs versus getting in on points? We all know you're a wheel man. You can get it done. You've had multiple top 5 finishes. You've been in the conversation. But what does that win, once you have that in your wheelhouse, in your back pocket, what does that win do for you once you get into the playoffs?
Yeah, like I was saying, you could say I was locked in on points, but me having a 0 in the win column is just that little bit of doubt that, could I ever do it? Like in this league, like this is super competitive. It's more competitive than it's ever been. And, I had my doubts. Everybody else on the team that I was on was winning. DJ, Allen, multiple wins. Same thing with Brandon. Noah should have had multiple wins already. And Brock has just recently joined, but he's, really quick as well. So sitting there 18, 19 races into the season without a win, that weighs on you a little bit, especially when all your other teammates have one. So yeah, being able to get it done just tells you that you're still able to do it, and just keep fighting and it'll come. So
Hey man, you hit the nail right on the head with that answer, and I appreciate your honesty there. Your other guys on your team are out there getting it done in victory lane, and you haven't been there yet. And now you're right there with them. And I look forward to watching you throughout the course of this season, whether it's from up at the broadcast booth, out there on the racetrack, man. You're very deserving of it, and congratulations. Enjoy this one. And before I cut you loose, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 23?
yeah, I couldn't be here without DJ, obviously, for bringing me onto his team. So I'm always going to thank him. Hubka for putting the league on. He's on vacation, enjoying himself a little bit. So, maybe he's my bad luck charm. He needs to stay away for a little longer. Seth, Scott, Matthew, obviously you, Matt, as well, for being in the broadcast booth this week. I can't wait to go back and watch this because, I'll be putting this on repeat probably the rest of the week. And I'll be going on vacation next week, so I'll have it on the TV or listening to it on the radio on the way down there. So, everybody else at Whitehead Racing, obviously Alan, Noah, Brock, Brandon, spotter / crew chief Chris. He kind of helps everybody out, and everybody else in the league as well. That was a really, really fun race. We had some cautions, but nothing crazy, and then we had a really good long run at the end. So I'm glad that played out like that, and just appreciate everybody. So.
Well, Trey, congratulations on the job well done here tonight. Your first win of the season. As Matt said, a great time to have it here on the eve of the close of the regular season and the playoffs looming. You'll be heading into those playoffs as a winner here in 2025. We'll let you go and get that celebrating going here in Nashville. Maybe hit up Tootsie's and have some fun here in the Music City.
I might do a shoey and film it and send it to Scott, so we'll see.
That's Trey Whitehead. He's your winner here tonight at Nashville Super Speedway. Becomes the 12th different winner on the season. Been a lot of parity, different drivers that have gone to victory lane. But I guess, Matt, we can kind of scratch off another driver that's in the more than likely going to get a win list here as Trey Whitehead is able to expunge his name off of said list.
I think this is just the beginning of Trey Whitehead. I think now that he has got this win, he is really going to transform into the Trey Whitehead of old. And you guys may not know who that is, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but if I got an intuition, if it's about to go down, we could see an epic battle between two teammates, between Dobbs and a surging Trey Whitehead, when it all comes down to it for the championship. And I can't believe I'm even saying this, a couple months from now, it seems like just yesterday we were at Speed Weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. This season has flown by, and this regular season will be wrapping up before you know it. Next week, we'll be at the twists and turns of Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and then we'll be at the place that started it all. You mentioned Speed Weeks. We're back at the high banks of Daytona, nighttime racing at the Daytona International Speedway. That will be our final race to determine who those drivers will be that will battle it off in those 10 playoff races, championship hanging in the balance. We thank you all for tuning to our coverage here tonight. Big thanks to Matt Metler for stepping in here, replacing Scott. We hope that Scott feels better as he's been dealing with the injury. He was also on race control here tonight. We hope you all will join us next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we will be continuing our coverage of the ESports Oval Leagues Grind Cup Series here for the year 2025. Road America, last road course of the regular season, second to last road course of the overall season. That's where it takes place next Wednesday evening. Thank you once again all for joining us. We'll see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.